Smark Foundation podcast. I'm Aaron. This is Adam.
Oh, hi, Marks.
And we were here to cover AEW WWE for the last week. We got a pay-per-view this week. We got lots of stuff to cover. Oh, man.
You just said WWE.
No, I said AEW.
You have AEW to do.
I said AEW and WWE. Yes.
Okay. Speaking so fast.
You know, I got to get my radio on, dog.
That's true.
See, so yeah.
Fair enough.
But
my ears just aren't fast enough to keep up with your lips.
I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna have to call Tech 9.
But
anyway, okay. So we're here to cover AEW and WWE for the last week. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah. As usual. For the last 3 months or so.
Yeah. It's a really I'm seeing this discourse a lot today online is that people are still being tribalist jerkwads when everything's really good. And why? Why, guys? Why?
I'm to a degree, I understand. I mean, this is biased because of, what I do watch. So, maybe I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it's I get the AEW, the pro AEW side of it. I do. I don't get the pro WWE side because AEW is literally no threat to them. So why are you wishing for their utter destruction? I do not understand. I understand, with all the controversies that WWE has and how much, before AEW began, how as good as their product is now, it was that bad then, so I understand that. But I really, really don't understand how people can be so anti-AEW at face value. As an entity, it's if you don't like the people who wrestle there and their style or whatever, okay, don't watch. Why are you wishing that they get injured? Why are you wishing, and then changing your tune when they come over and sign with WWE after all? I don't understand.
I mean, I don't understand AEW people saying that WWE shouldn't be a product. Or that, why would anybody watch that? I'm sorry, Elimination Chamber last night was fucking awesome. And if they don't like that or didn't enjoy it, sorry. But it was awesome.
I understand watching the product. I understand that, people have their own lines where they separate the company from the performers that they like. And then I'm not going to go out and say that this person shouldn't have a job because they work for WWE. That's stupid. That's asinine. They shouldn't have a job if they work at WWE because they're a bad person. Logan Paul shouldn't be working at WWE.
No, I agree.
Because he's a bad person. That's a valid reason for me. But associating these people sign contracts and whether they believe or whether they endorse the things that the company is getting accused of now is irrelevant because people sign contracts, and maybe they can feel even if they do believe that stuff happened, and I bet a lot of people don't want to believe it, so they choose not to because they don't want to face the cognitive dissonance of that. But even if they do believe it, maybe they think that they can be a force for good from the inside. Freaking Sami Zayn is a very, 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 very good, verifiably good person. Are we really going to say that he's on the hook for sex trafficking? No.
Not at all.
That's that is stretching that even Rob Van Dam couldn't pull off. Okay.
Yeah, see, but that's the kind of mental gymnastics I'm talking about. Hey, we're going to condemn everyone on this roster because a guy who is no longer in charge of the company acted like a fucking dickweed. And yeah, maybe some people that work there now are still those dickweeds, but they will eventually be sussed out and named publicly. And do you think TKO is going to keep them after that? No.
I think they would, as long as they don't get caught. But they will get caught.
They will get caught.
They will be named.
That's the thing.
And it will be deemed... They won't kick them out for moral reasons. They'll kick them out because of the bad press.
Bad press, yeah. Well, but still, that's enough.
It achieves the end either way.
Yes, it achieves the end we want. And you know what? I almost bet that, nowhere in any of these lawsuits or any of these incidents we're gonna get The Rock,
No.
or
No.
John
You know
Cena.
why? Because he hasn't been there. No, he's a womanizer, but he's not. I don't think he's that.
No.
Like,
we're not gonna. I don't think we're like CM Punk is for sure not gonna come up in these lawsuits. Except for the one with Ryan Nemeth, which is bullshit.
Yeah, it's garbage.
It's garbage.
It's hot garbage.
I mean, maybe Logan Paul, he is kind of a scumbag, but I hate him.
I don't know
Everybody
if he's
hates him,
there
and it's
long
okay.
enough.
He hasn't been there long enough to be part of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be.
But I mean, he's got his own problems. There's going to be lawsuits
Yeah.
naming him aplenty, I promise.
Sure.
I mean, there's some people maybe, but we're not going to get like Penta, Ludwig Kaiser, Pete Dunne. People like that, like just off the top of my notes right here, like these are not people like that's the first 5 names in my notes, by the way. Those last 5 guys that I just mentioned are the first 5 people that I'm going to be talking about tonight in our Raw review. But that's just like, like Logan. Yeah, he's definitely going to have some lawsuits against him. CM Punk does have an active, but probably soon to be thrown out lawsuit against him. But it's not for anything gross. It's for Ryan Nemeth being a crybaby.
Happened at WWE.
Yeah. It didn't happen at WWE. It happened at AEW supposedly. So, now, and I still am not sure. Is he suing him for him beating up the Bucks? It's like, because it talks about it in the suit. Like, is he suing CM Punk for Punk beating up the Bucks?
Hilarious.
It was so funny.
Reading that brief was absolutely hilarious because it's like one of the most unprofessional things I've. It read more like fan fiction.
Yeah. It read like if I was
an
pissed
actual
off.
legal document.
Yeah, like
I just, and that's why it's going to get thrown out.
It read like a pissed off
couldn't help. Yeah, It certainly didn't read like a lawyer wrote it. He probably insisted on writing it himself. His lawyer, conceded, and they're probably kicking themselves now for it.
Probably. But yeah, so I mean, like, I'm not gonna take these awesome wrestlers to task over something that they didn't do or have a part in, and I'm also
it's not like they were named like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, like fuck Brock, and I'm willing to say that. Like, if he returns to WWE TV, we're gonna have a freaking issue on this podcast about covering their product. I have a bit of an issue already covering Saudi Arabia and Logan Paul. Like, we've established this. It's not like I'm here for the really shitty people. I'm here for these good wrestlers. Like, I'm not going to stop supporting Penta.
Yeah, because they want to feed their families in the best way that they can.
Right.
Like, are you? I don't know. Like, I feel like.
Okay, here, let me say this straight up, and I'm going to say this, and people are going to be mad. This might be nuclear hot, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay. Any one of those people griping, if they were handed a $500,000 minimum year contract from WWE or TKO, they would sign it today.
I bet a lot of them would. I bet the majority of them would.
Go ahead and raise your hands on my B-Sky feed. Right after the intro, we'll have that. Raise your hand in your B-Sky feed if you wouldn't take a $500,000 contract from WWE. And don't lie. Don't lie, because I'm going to suss you out if you're lying. That's that. Seriously.
I'd have a really, really hard time turning it down.
I would have a hard time turning it down if I wanted to. But I don't
it depends on what it is. I have no wrestling training, so it wouldn't be to wrestle.
If they asked, if they were like, "Hey, here's $250 to be a referee," which I think is like the going rate in both companies. Here's $250 for full-time referee. Take care of your own travel.
Time away from my family. That's the thing with WWE is the travel schedule. Even as lightened as it's become, it's like I have a 2-year-old and an autistic 6.5-year-old. Like, I kind of need to be here.
Yeah, see, situations right now being what they are, I could. Yeah, if they were like, hey, $250, and I told my wife, hey, I'm gonna be gone 3 days a week. She'd be like, okay, what days? And then she'd make sure she works those days and be off the days that I'm home, or her days off or days that I'm home, and we'd figure it out. And she'd be like, cool, go do that. She knows I love being a referee though.
Well, plus your kids are teens.
And my kids are teenagers. So yeah, I could, but but also on the flip side, I might be the guy covering WWE here, but if AEW offered me that contract, I'd fucking take it too. Okay.
Oh, I would absolutely do it.
No
That's just once
question.
a week.
But the
That's
WWE
probably
one would
once
be
a-
more to be a force of good from the inside. Like, be like, look, I'm not a
Yeah.
scumbag. I'm going to work there, and I'm gonna not be a scumbag while I work there. Like,
Yeah.
because it's not hard to just be a good person and be nice to your fans and the people that are working at the venue and stuff. Like, it's literally all you got to do.
It's tough though. Like at that level, it would be really tough to try and because if you were to bring anything to HR, remember HR is not there to facilitate, good things for the peons. They're there to prevent lawsuits however they can. They're there to protect
Right.
the company. So if you bring that kind of stuff to HR, they're more likely to hide it and then fire you than they are to
nothing
take
happens
to
these
task
days.
and fire one of their CEOs.
Nothing's going to HR. Nothing's doing anything these days without crossing the desk of Sean Sapp. So, I don't think we would be unprivy to most of those situations anyway.
Yeah.
So
why don't you just go directly to him?
I mean, yeah,
Have him break it.
yeah.
It would
If
probably
I were to
force the good better.
if I were to go work at a company and something terrible happened that I was privy to, yeah, I wouldn't be going to HR. I would email Sean Ross Sapp, and I don't like him, and I would still email him.
Yeah,
and that's just because of the respect I have for his validity.
Yeah,
he brings receipts to
like
his,
him.
He brings
Personality.
receipts. No. We clash personality wise. Period. I think
I like him.
I think that dirt sheets are partially responsible for part of kayfabe going away. And I kayfabe was going to go away eventually anyway, but I think the dirt sheets helped it happen a lot earlier than it had to. And when I mentioned that, I got drugged by.
Well,
you got it. So, but
I
don't hate his crew. I think
clear.
everybody's cool there. Like, I don't.
I want to make it clear that it's the internet.
Yeah, it's the internet.
Sheets, not even Meltzer really.
No.
He only had his newsletter. Like it wasn't really like Meltzer and Wade Keller. It was really the people who came after them. Everybody had a website and stuff was all over the internet. Those guys, those old school guys, were late to the party. So I don't think you can even really blame people like them for hopping on the train. It was when, the internet came around and wide access to it in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s during the Monday Night War. The hottest period in wrestling history is obviously going to have the hottest goss.
Yeah.
Going back and forth.
And we had like Lords of Pain and stuff like that. I mean, we had, there's plenty of people that are kind of to blame for the
Raja and stuff.
For basically creating this world we have now of terminally online wrestling fans and the media like us who feed them. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're on that train too now. I mean, we're not dirt sheeting really. We're just reporting on what's happening and giving our opinion on it.
I wouldn't even say we're reporters. We're more like D-bag analysts.
D-bag analysts, yeah. E-level, like we're fucking nobodies. It's cool though, because I'm allowed an opinion on wrestling. So are you.
For sure.
And we can express it any way we want to. That's the beauty of the internet. But the flip side of that coin is it's created the IWC in the bad connotation that everybody sees it in now. And now I didn't get this in depth about that with him. I just said, look, man, dirt sheets kind of helped ruin wrestling. So, and I said it like that. So yeah, if he took it badly and had me drugged, which he did, that was his prerogative. I'd have done the same damn thing. Okay. Good on you, dude. Okay. But we just don't get along personality wise. And I understand that, but I do respect his reporting and I respect the fact that he's valid and that everybody everybody talks to him. Oh, fuck yeah. Beyond question, he's the best at what he does. So
I don't think anybody even really comes close.
No, I can't hate and say that he's not. He is the best at what he does. So that said, yeah, if I were privy to something terrible happening in a wrestling company, I had to email Sean. I wouldn't even call HR. And that might get me fired, but fired is better than mouth closed.
Maybe what you would do is email HR saying, hey, I'm going to Sean Ross Sapp about this unless you do something about it. Use what little leverage you would have.
Yeah. It just depends on how the company operates. I mean, TKO seems like it's a cutthroat organization. So
yeah, they would either cut you. You know what they would do? They would try and get you to sign an NDA.
Yeah.
That's what they would do.
Yeah.
That's their bread and butter in it.
Right. But see, the other thing though is I see people like saying, you know, oh well, that MAGA company, and I'm like, okay, look, man, guys, look, okay, I hate to break it to you, okay, 90%, 90% of wrestling locker rooms lean Republican. 90% of wrestlers lean
Which is
Republican.
super weird.
It is super weird.
Super
But if you think, no, not my guys in AEW, remind yourself that Jericho's wife is a J6er. Jericho's a MAGA dude.
Yep.
It's not deniable.
He had Donald Jr. on his podcast.
Yeah, Jericho's a Trump guy. So if you're saying WWE's a MAGA company because of TKO or Dana White or their connections to Trump or whatever it is, you have to look at the ones in AEW the same way and realize that, like, one of your top guys that we're kind of starting to love again, his wife is a damn insurrectionist, okay?
There is one thing I would say is that they released a few days ago, maybe a week ago, a list of, like, the major corporate donors that in the entertainment sector that donated to the Trump campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And Vince McMahon was on there. Dana White was on there. Well, Dana was no surprise. WWE as a company, because apparently companies are people now.
I didn't know companies could make political donations like that. And I wish they couldn't. I guess is what I should say.
We don't have time to talk about Glass-Steagall, but Shahid Khan
is definitely on that list. I know he is because I saw him.
Is on that list.
Yeah.
You know who wasn't though? Was Tony. Tony was not on.
Tony, as far as I know, and as far as I can see, give him credit where it's due. Only donates to Democrat, as far as I can tell.
I think,
but the family donates to Republicans.
I think he's probably like a centrist Democrat. Like, he's a Democrat.
I mean, with as much money as he has, he doesn't have money. To care.
Yeah. So nothing is ever going to affect him negatively. No, too negatively.
He has too much money.
Like, he doesn't have this. He doesn't have the same barriers, even given, his, I believe his Pakistani background, as a person of color. He doesn't have the same barriers that people of his own origin have on the bottom rung of the ladder,
right?
Because his dad made a fortune selling car parts. I still can't believe how somebody could make $1 billion selling car parts of all things. But dude, I mean, he did.
Two things that you'll find in every country in the world, no matter how shitty it is: cars and computers.
Yeah.
So if you're selling computer chips or mufflers, you in the money.
I can't imagine having the workforce and the resources that would be necessary to make that many in order to eventually raise $1 billion. I can't.
Well, I mean, most of us can't really.
$9.
I mean, we could say like, okay, that dude's worth $9-10 billion. It's really easy for us to say that, but we really can't fathom $1 billion. Like, no, we can't. Like, we really don't have the capacity of, because most of us. I mean, I know what I'm worth, but I know it's not $1 million yet, and so right now, I mean, like, I know what $1 million would look like. Like, I could look at it, I could see, based on like what I've seen in my mind, I could look at that and multiply and be like, okay, that's what $1 million.
And what we're talking about, the worth of people, like it like that freaking means anything.
Yeah,
but it doesn't.
But we don't understand that level of wealth either. No. Like, we definitely do not understand anything about that level of wealth.
Absolutely
not. Like, no. Like, Tony Khan lives on a yacht that's bigger than like 5 of my houses. Okay, like, I can't fathom that. That there's a boat that is even that big. Like, 'cause I've never been on a cruise ship, so like, I can't fathom something that large, like a boat that big. The biggest boat I've been on is like a fucking, like a.
Yeah, I was on a small schooner,
like a ski boat.
That was a bit. Yeah.
Oh no, I've stood on a 2-master. Yeah, I've stood on a wooden 2-master, and that's still not that big. So, well, I mean, not comparatively to like, probably what like a, like a
to Tony Khan's boat.
Yeah. Like a 5-house fucking luxury yacht, that just keep it away from the orcas, Tony. Okay, we're rooting for them, but we're rooting for you too. So
yeah. I hope you have a helicopter pad.
I bet that thing does. I think there is one, because there was the Hurt Syndicate did a really cool photo shoot on that boat.
Oh yeah,
and so I think there was a helicopter pad in the background. So I don't know if there was a helicopter on it, but I think there was a helicopter pad in one of the shots. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it has one.
The orcas can't get you in the air, Tony.
No, they can't, man.
Just make sure you're never too far from the coast, because helicopters can't go that far.
Right. Well, that being said, we're going to get into our Raw review. That's our lockup for the week. And
we got 5 parts today, so we'll try and speed through them as quickly as we can. Though, as history has shown, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible. Okay, so the first section has CM Punk in it, so I really want to cover it, but it has Logan Paul in it, so I don't really want to cover it. Needless to say, Logan Paul slapped CM Punk and then bailed out of the ring before he could get what was coming to him. Now, this is ahead of Elimination Chamber, so he's definitely going to get what's coming to him. But that was after he did slap CM Punk after CM Punk said that he was the devil and Logan Paul was no one, which is great because, yes, please continue getting on the mic and embarrassing this asshole until he decides that wrestling's too hard. Because he might be good in the ring, but I'm hoping they pummel him on the mic. So then we had a continuation of our Penta story with Pete Dunne and Ludwig Kaiser. I'm really liking this, man. This trio, because like Pete Dunne has made it very clear he wants nothing to do with Ludwig, and he hates his guts, and like quit interfering in my shit. And Ludwig has made it a point to be a pain in his side, as well as Penta's. So they all hate each other basically, and so it's a really good 3-way. Ludwig took the win here, but Penta didn't take the pin, so is he really undefeated?
Using WWE logic, they usually don't consider you undefeated if you were not pinned or made to submit.
Yeah, so
like if you were in the Royal Rumble, and you didn't win it, they still don't count that as a loss for you. Because they don't, like, even though technically that is a singles match because nobody's in a team.
Yeah.
Like, there are 29 losers of that.
Yeah. Pretty much anything in excess of a tag match or a singles match, they don't really count towards the win-loss, it seems like.
Pretty much.
In their kayfabe, in their version of it. Because they have a whole different version of it than AEW has. We've proven that over the last few weeks, too.
I wonder if there's somebody on Blue Sky that would... I wonder if there's somebody on Blue Sky that is the counterpart to our friend at AEW rankings.
Yeah, like a WWE ranking.
Does their own WWE rankings.
I'm going to find someone.
Yeah, we'd have to. I'd be curious to see how that plays out, honestly.
I would too. But so Penta's still technically undefeated, but Kaiser took the win in this match. It was really good, man. It was just really good. The wrestling all week's been really good on all fronts. So then the New Day defeated Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. So the LFO is it? No, LWO guys. LWO guys. So the LWO, they're still trying to get revenge for Rey Mysterio. These guys capped his knee out. He's off TV. Probably just having a nice vacation. I haven't heard anything about him being legitimately injured, so I think he's just written off right now. But New Day gets the win here. I mean, I didn't really expect anything different, but the match was good. They really, like Dragon Lee attempted to get a save at the end when the New Day was beating the guys down after the match, but they kind of beat him down too. So they left the LWO laying, the LWO is not looking real strong in this for being a 3-on-2 situation. They're making the New Day look really strong. I don't know what the end game is here, though. Like, why are you sacrificing the LWO to make the New Day look really strong? Like, where are you going? Because who do they need to look that strong against? Unless
they got a tag title match coming up at WrestleMania.
And yeah, but I mean, right now, like I don't know. It looks like maybe Pretty Deadly might be the next tag champs. So I don't know what they're
But
doing
that's
with
on
the New Day.
SmackDown. That's not on Raw.
Oh yeah, on Raw. Oh no. Oh, the War Raiders. I completely forgot. Okay, so the War Raiders are the damn tag team champions. They haven't really been featuring them a lot. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Which is why it didn't just immediately come to my head that they were the tag team champions. The tag team situation on SmackDown is much, much more fun, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, now I understand. The New Day has to look super strong if they're going to beat the War Raiders because they kind of look like jokes in size
and
comparison.
The fact that the War Raiders haven't been featured as much probably foreshadows a New Day win.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're the ones that are on TV.
Right.
So
now, the next part of this, the next match was my favorite thing on this whole show. Okay. And it was only 3 minutes long. We had Gunther. So, okay, earlier in the show, Gunther's entering, right?
Right.
And as he's entering, he sees American Alpha, Maxine and Akira and Otis doing like TikTok dances in front of a phone and a ring light, and he's looks disgusted. And so he told Akira Tozawa that he could have.
He does have resting disgust face.
He does.
To be fair.
But he told Akira Tozawa that he wasn't a man, basically, and that the only way for him to prove that he was a man is to, have this match with him and prove his worth, basically. Which is kind of the thing that Gunther's doing now. He's wanting people to prove that they're even worthy to face him, and he doesn't believe that Jey Uso is worthy, even though he's fighting him at WrestleMania, whether he likes it or not.
I mean, he won the Royal Rumble. I don't know how much more worthy you can be.
But so he has a match with Akira Tozawa, and if I said this was a squash match, I wouldn't, nobody would be surprised. It's only 3 minutes long. But if I said this was the most offense I'd ever seen the squashed person get in a squash match, and it actually turned it into like a 3 minute fucking banger of a match.
Speed championship
Dude,
match.
this was like a perfect speed championship match. Like, dude, Akira Tozawa and Gunther is the best thing from Raw this week. If you got 3 minutes, go check it out. Like, it is.
Maybe I will. I do like Tozawa.
Dude, it's
and
such
I really
a
wish
good
that
match. He gets his ass kicked so good. Like, when we talked about the people who get their ass kicked the best, Akira Tozawa made a case for that today. It was so good, man. Like, Gunther ended up being frustrated enough to end it with a sleeper hold. Like, he had to put the submission on him instead of the power bomb. So, yeah. It was a really good match, man. Akira went hard. Gunther went hard. They took everything each other had to give for a good 3 minutes, man. And it was just the best 3 minutes. All right. After that, we had the Women's Intercontinental Championship match with Lyra Valkyrie and Dakota Kai. Still not really sure what they're trying to... Like, I mean, I guess they're trying to push Kai, but she lost pretty handily here. So I don't know what's going on there exactly. But... They did make Lyra look strong as the Women's Intercontinental Champion, which they should have been doing all along, especially after her loss to Bayley, which was stupid. Like, it was just stupid. So I guess her getting her win back now is probably good, Then after that, we had Dominic Mysterio and Braun Breaker.
Oh, dear.
I guess Dominic's trying to prove himself to Finn or something, or, prove that he's worth listening to or something like that. So he goes to take on Braun Breaker, but so Finn Balor and Carlito are at ringside. They attacked Breaker, and that the match ended in a disqualification. But Breaker was just kicking the shit out of Dom. I mean, as he would. But it was only about like 3 minutes or so. It wasn't that much. Then Seth Rollins comes out. He implores Cody Rhodes not to accept the offer that was laid forth by The Rock. But we also want that answer. The Rock wants his answer at Elimination Chamber, so that's coming. We'll talk about that later. Then the main event, I'm pretty sure, yeah, the main event was for the women's tag team championship, and it was Raquel and Liv versus Bianca and Naomi, and it was a pretty good match. But then Dom Mysterio came out, and there was antics, and now Raquel and Liv are the women's tag team champions, which I was not expecting. But after what happened on Saturday, I totally understand why this happened.
I mean, if they were always going to be going towards some kind of split before WrestleMania, so it's probably better to get the belts off of them before that happens, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was very good to get the belts off of them before what happened. So, that was our main event of the night. You notice I didn't talk too much about vignettes except for like big promos. They didn't have a whole lot. This episode kind of flew by. Lots of wrestling. So I mean, it was really good. As bad as SmackDown was last week, everything this week was kind of really good, especially with the wrestling part. So Raw was good, and I think that moves us over into our shot.
All right, so now on to the shine. Shine this week is AEW Dynamite from February 26th, 2025. There were only 4, I think, advertised matches for this card, but they were all like really interesting matchups. First thing you want to know though is video shown of MJF to open the show. He is getting his AEW tattoo lasered off because the only 3 letters he cares about now are MJ and F.
I don't think it was ever real in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think he would go so far as to do that, considering how it's very clear that he's business minded, first and foremost. I don't think that. I mean, he got it in a spot that would be covered with a boot, so there's that. But you know, if he were to ever go to WWE, who knows what kind of gear they would have him wear? You know, like this.
Yeah.
So, I think that I too think that it was never real to begin with. And that it was a gimmick, and that to avoid some expensive laser surgery, that they'll just fake it to explain his absence.
I think.
To be fair, but beyond that, the show actually opened up with Adam Copeland showing up in the back of an ambulance and saying, "Hey, guess what? Y'all Death Riders are leaving in here tonight." Forgot about that, but. To me, the more interesting video was of MJF because it leads right into Hangman Page showing up in a pickup truck with longhorns on it. No longer, looks like he got rid of his Tesla. Good for him.
Good for him.
He's driving some other electric vehicle.
That is a.
So you want to talk about woke wrestlers?
GMC or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy's definitely on our side about that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
100%.
Although
also,
he would hate he would hate me
plants.
though because I have English ivy that grows on purpose, and he would hate me for that. So
yeah. He said so in the next promo. He said there are only 3 things he hates: is English ivy, when he runs out of biscuits, and what was the third thing? It was shoot.
MJF spitting on him.
Oh, MJF spitting on him.
He said it in such a beautiful flowery language.
The funny thing is that the other 2 were funnier, so those are the things that I remember.
Dude, I'm with him on the running out of biscuits though, like 100%.
Yeah. That might be a Southern thing. I've never had an opinion either way on biscuits.
Boy, at KFC or Popeyes,
American biscuits, not cookies. I'm very much into cookies.
Oh yeah, we love
friends.
cookies around here for our British friends.
Love cookies.
Our biscuits are fluffy and they're made of flour and. And honestly, Red Lobster does them best, but Popeye's got a good one, and KFC's got good biscuits.
The cheddar ones are good at Red Lobster.
Oh hell yeah, they are. Yeah. So
I mean, that's pretty much universally praised, I think.
Yeah, but those are also endless, so you can't run out of those. But how pissed would you be if you did?
Yeah, that's true.
Now you understand.
This promo comes after Hangman Page absolutely just obliterates Aaron Solo.
Dude, oh my god, he killed him.
Yeah, like it's like it was a nothing match. It was like, oh, he took a corkscrew kick, but then he hit him with the buckshot, and it's over. Like, it's over. Hangman Page padding his win record. He's like 5-1 now, and 3 of those have been squash matches. I'm pretty sure, including the one with Caster.
Yeah.
And he takes a chair and he grabs it. That's when he cuts that promo. MJF is actually here though. He comes out with a bloody towel and says he's worried he doesn't have a prayer on March 9th, but he better leave now and get ready for that match. But wait, I forgot why I came out here. I'm awfully worried about your friend, Paige. And he leaves, and then Christopher Daniels is shown busted up in the back. And it's really funny because Daniels misses cue because he's still punching his face to, at the beginning of the shot to continue to get some blood flow going on it. I thought that part was funny, but I don't think it really impacted it negatively too much. The live crowd, I don't think the live crowd even really noticed it.
No,
because they were audibly upset when Christopher Daniels was shown busted up. And so, Paige had said that he was going to stay in that ring until MJF came out, but obviously it was Daniels, so he went back to the back, which allowed the show to continue. There was a thing where Chris Jericho was conspiring with Don Callis so that he would lend him Brian Keith's bounty hunter services to collect the bounty that Don Callis had placed on Will Ospreay's head. I know this whole bad apple thing, it's kind of funny, and it is very thematic with the learning tree, but I really wish that they would lean more into the bounty hunter thing, except that every time he tries to collect a bounty, he fails. So, like, this would be the gimmick that you would give to somebody who succeeds at collecting bounties instead of going after them and failing. So I don't know what to feel about this. I don't feel bad about it, but I don't really feel like it was like a super highlight of the show.
See,
but the match with Keith and Ospreay, we keep saying it. Will Ospreay could have a 5-star match with what is left of Moppy, but I'll still say it. He and Brian Keith had surprising chemistry.
Dude,
like I could watch this match over and over again for sure. Like, it was really good, and I thought, this is certainly the best Brian Keith has looked. Well, he looked pretty good against Bandito too.
Him and Bandito killed too. Yeah,
that killed too. Like, I'm glad that Brian Keith is getting these opportunities now to have these matches with really good wrestlers to show that he can hang. Because, like, he got hired off of a bunch of decent showings as an independent contractor, but they were all losses.
Yeah.
So as is the case, you don't usually hire an independent contractor, not sign them, and then have them go over anyway. You tend not to, but like still, he finishes them off with a Styles Clash followed directly by a Hidden Blade. Yeah, but this is good. This is real good. Like, I would recommend showing this to somebody who's not really familiar with AEW and the style that they go in. Like, I thought it was good. Nothing like, it didn't really. This is just storyline wise, just kind of biding time until the pay-per-view, because you can't have Ospreay facing a member of the Don Callis family literally every show leading up to the cage match, but still. That being said, Fletcher did come out, and he and Ospreay brawled all the way around the place, and that was fun. Mercedes Moné bumps into Billy Starks in the back next. I did not think Billy Starks would show up on AEW TV before Athena.
Right?
Before Athena made her return, but here we are, and she's apparently not only Athena's minion, but she's also hanging out with Momo Watanabe.
Yeah.
In the lead up to her. Like, okay. So, they have a little thing where Monet gets in Billy's face and basically says, "Who the hell are you?" And she's like, "You know what? If I were you, I'd watch your back." As Momo sneaks up to her with a baseball bat on her shoulders. And as Monet is running away, Momo takes a swing with that bat that came far too close for my liking. That was real close. She nearly got Monet right in the back of the head. And it was at full speed too. I was very, very concerned, but nothing happens, so it looked great, and we're okay. In her escape, Monet dropped the TBS title belts. Momo picks it up and says, "I'm getting this at Revolution," and then she and Billy smiled at the camera for uncomfortably long, and
Yeah, kind of awkward, right?
they should have cut that off about 3 seconds before they did.
Yeah.
Oh, they showed the clip of the Outrunners that was on Sports Center with them hyping up the
Stuff was
basketball
awesome.
team, which was great. And then they won. And then I saw on the tournament they were in, I saw online today that they won their tournament, and then like the head coach of the team, this tiny little like Chinese woman,
Yeah.
she
came out of the trash
video.
can.
She came out of the trash can with the title, with the EW title belt replica,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? That's a team that knows how to lean into the press that they've gotten from their virality. Like, good for them. Like, good for everybody. Like, this benefited everybody. Nobody was a loser here. You know, the team won. They got to do this thing. You got AEW free press. They leaned into the trash can bit, which shows that they have a sense of humor. You know, the freaking head coach was in a trash can and popped out with the belt with a had AEW's logo on it. Like, I mean, I can't hate on that at all.
No.
Match number 3 was the Outrunners versus the Murder Machines to determine who was going to go on to Revolution to face the Hurt Syndicate for the World Tag Team title. I was for sure thinking the Murder Machines were just going to run all over them. But this was a very old school match with the Outrunners definitely playing Rock and Roll Express here, doing their best impression, and they actually get the win.
Yeah, I was surprised. The Hurt
Syndicate show up on the stage and their music distracts, and it was Archer wants the blackout, but then the music hits and then gets distracted and rolled up. Archer takes the pin. It's not even Cage that takes the pin; it's Archer that takes the pin here. Like, this was a welcome surprise.
Yeah. Very
welcome surprise. Now, do I think they're going to win the belts from the Hurt Syndicate? No.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. But
not a chance.
Outrunners get on pay-per-view? Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Do it up. Absolutely. It's something different. We haven't seen this before.
I thought for a second it was going to be on like next week's Dynamite or something, and I was like, no, wait, that's a pay-per-view week? It's definitely going to be on pay-per-view because if AEW is going to do anything, they're going to AEW and have 14 matches on the pay-per-view card. So.
Yep. It's going to be a long night for us next week.
Yes,
that
it is.
Is foreshadowing.
Yes, it is.
In any case, right after that, Swerve comes out with Prince Nana, talks about making Black history when he fulfilled his destiny to become an AEW champion. And being a great champion at that. Swerve says that Nana's right, and he still needs to remind people that he's the man around here. He needs gold around his waist, but he's not done with Ricochet. He needs to take care of him first. Enter Ricochet. Ricochet says, "Why do I need to face you again?" And he's got a point. Like, at this point, he's beaten him already. Kind of clean. Ish, like, I mean, it's cuspy. It's on a cusp, but it's kind of clean. Like, that's a former world champion. Like, why do I need to face you again? It's an honest question. Swerve has an answer for that. He says though that or Nana, I think, brings it up. Is it? I think it's Nana.
Maybe it's Nana. Yeah,
it's Nana. He said he talked to Tony Khan and he's like, this match, if you agree to this match, it'll be for the #1 contendership to the world title. And so Ricochet's like, all right. I'll run over you again, and then I'll go on to fulfill my destiny of winning championship gold here. Haha. And then he walks off. The segment's not over, though. Nana kind of drops a little bit of a minor bombshell, a grenade, if you will. He says, "You better beat him, and you better get my robe back. Or, despite the fact that I love you and everything we've been through, you and I are done." So, like, I can't do this anymore. So, yeah, extra motivation for Swerve.
They better not be turning Prince Nana heel. And I feel like that's coming.
Somebody on my Blue Sky feed posted a prediction of that, and I could see it, but I don't. Here's the thing: I don't see. I don't see Mox losing the belt to Cope, so I don't see Mox defending against Rico. So to me, Swerve picks it up, and I don't see that happening, and Nana turning heel on him. There's no point in turning Nana heel if he's not going to screw him out of the match.
We'll see.
There's just no point. I mean, if he's going to turn heel on him later, okay, fine, but not. I don't think it happens here.
We will find out Sunday.
We will. Hangman's in the back. He tells Renee, I couldn't find MJF. Weasel escaped from me. You better hope that I run him over when next time I see him, because if I don't, he'll wish I had.
Oh, damn.
You want to talk about real? There's real right there.
I'm going to wish for a vehicular assault because of what's going to happen to me so bad. Okay.
Yeah. Undisputed Kingdom versus FT Garcia. FT I guess.
Garcia, yeah.
This was great. Like, I'm so glad FTR is back. I don't know where they were or why they were gone for so long, but I miss them every time they're not on my TV. Yeah. They bring such energy and just enthusiasm to their work, and that always makes a match better. Undisputed King, there was one spot, the it's not really an AEW spot. It's like a PWG spot that, because of where everybody comes from, kind of makes it an AEW spot where like everybody gets their move in and then go in these multi-man matches, and then somebody gets their move in on somebody, and then the third person gets their move in on the second person, and the fourth person gets their move in on. There was a sequence of that outside the ring midway through the match that was, I couldn't even narrate it, but it was just awesome. It was fantastic, and Dax and Cash are excellent at setting that kind of stuff up. They didn't come from that wrestling tradition. They didn't spend a lot of time in Southern California learning that style, but they have adapted so well to it because they're the best tag team on earth. Yeah. But the end comes when, of all things, Cash traps Kyle in an abdominal stretch while Kyle is applying the sharpshooter on Roddy on Dax. Or like the four of those guys are in this weird submission chain, and then Garcia tries to pile drive Cole, and those two are the legal men. But Cole reverses it into a jackknife pin, and because the other four are all locked up in that submission, nobody can break up the pin in time. And then so Garcia takes the pin from Adam Cole, and the look on his face immediately after, he sits up and he's just like, yeah, like, you can't see me, but imagine like he's just so mad at himself. He's not even mad at Cole. He's just like, he's like the Miz, but not as animated. He's like, really, yeah, this is how this ended. This really. And it's, you can see the wheels turning in his head. He's kicking himself for letting it end that way. And he's the TNT champion, and he just got pinned, which sets up a match with him and Cole for the belt later on the Weekend Collision. But yeah, after the match, Garcia and Cole still want to keep it professional, but Kyle O'Reilly doesn't want to shake hands, and so it leads to Cole and Garcia trying to hold FTR and the other Roddy and Kyle back from fighting. That would also set up a match on Collision for those two teams in a regular tag match. You do a quick backstage thing with the Death Riders. Claudio is there looking for Cope. He's like, you hunted us, but now I'm the hunter. But he said it in whatever one of the other 4 languages he speaks initially. So
I'm not even sure which one it was.
I think it was probably Swiss, because it didn't really sound quite German. So it was probably Swiss, which is like essentially if Swiss and French had a baby, or if French and German had a baby, that would be Swiss. So yeah, he goes out. Uh, they're looking for Cope, or he did that earlier. They're looking for Cope, and Claudio lays in some chair shots. Uh, they kind of trap him. They do a pincher movement where Yuta comes in, and but yeah, Marina jumps on Cope's back when he makes his comeback and spears Claudio once they're in the ring, but Yuta accidentally hits Marina with a Busaiku knee.
I popped.
And then Jay White, who's there now, he has a Blade Runner on Yuta because that's his favorite thing to do now.
Yeah,
I'm
he
pretty
just
sure
comes
Yuta's
in
taken
and
at least 4 or
kills
5
Yuta.
Blade Runners in the past month.
Yeah.
And then Cope hits a concerto to Claudio and sets up Shafir for it. But then the best part of this came out when Willow finally comes out and she shows. I mean, because if Cope did this, they would catch flack.
I would have been fine with
Willow's. I mean, I would have too.
She's been hitting dudes, so I would.
Because guess what? Because guess what? It's fake.
Yeah,
I don't care.
It's fake.
But
also equal rights and equal lifts.
Yeah. Advertisers though look at things differently.
Yes, they do. So yeah.
So I'm glad it was. I'm glad it was Willow for that, but I'm also glad for her character that she was no shrinking violet. She was gonna get some payback, and so she hits a concerto on Marina, who sells it by not selling it. She doesn't no sell it. She just doesn't move. She just doesn't move. She doesn't.
Killed her.
Which I guess is better than, getting right back up and saying that didn't affect me. But whatever. But yeah, everybody gets concertos, and the only ones left standing between Cope and Mox is Yuta.
Yep.
Poor Wheeler Yuta, but screw Wheeler Yuta.
He's getting a concerto.
Harley Cameron versus Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo beat the crap out of Harley for the majority of this match.
Made her pay
as
for
she
that.
should. As she should. But Harley Cameron does, in the end, pick up a win with...
it's called My Finishing Move.
Well, no. We'll get to that. We'll get to that bit on Saturday. I want to describe the move. It's a rolling cutter, but it goes the opposite way of, the roll of the dice or the crossroads or whatever Damian Priest calls his version.
It goes the effective direction.
Opposite way. Yeah. It goes the other way. I don't know. I've seen some people sell the crossroads landing straight on their head. I wouldn't say that's ineffective.
Okay.
But she wins with that, and Harley Cameron gets another win. Like I said, they're building off this momentum. Keep building this, and there's your next TBS champion. Maybe. Unless they're... Although, if they're leading to Mercedes versus Athena and All In, I'm saying put it on Athena instead. Woman has earned it.
Yeah, she deserves it more than anybody. So I would say her first. But if it was Harley after a long build, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah, me neither. International title. Konosuke Takeshita defends against Orange Cassidy, and this match was amazing. Takeshita is becoming one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, he's great.
That dude, ever since he turned heel and aligned himself with the Don Callis family, has been just stellar. Absolutely everything hits, nothing fails. He has crazy chemistry with everybody. This match on paper looks like, what are we even doing here? And it was match of the night on a really good card. So this was they do some funny business with the sunglasses. Takeshita attempts to eat the first pair before Orange takes the second pair off. He hands that off to Don Callis, but eventually Callis takes it back, Cassidy takes it back from Callis. Just crazy. There was this one sequence where it was just counter after counter after counter. And what was it? It was Cassidy counters the Blue Thunder Bomb with elbow strikes to the back of the head, but Takeshita blocks a satellite DDT. Then Cassidy tries to turn that into Stun Dog Millionaire, but he caught him in midair and throws him around for the biggest Blue Thunder Bomb you've ever seen. Incredible stuff. Just amazing stuff. Orange Cassidy continues to be one of those super, super, super dependable guys. Like, for somebody who a lot of people still give flack over his gimmick and his lack of size or whatever, the dude knows how to work. And he knows how to hook you. Like, there are points in this match where I thought, are they really gonna do something with moving over to Cassidy or including him as like a triple threat or something? But in the end, it was an orange punch is ducked under and caught, and he just like this raging fire. He didn't land on his back. He landed like right on his side. He just threw him and swung him around. And Orange Cassidy lands right on his side like a sack of potatoes. It looked like he got absolutely murked. And Takeshita takes it. Like that, this match was awesome. It was really, really there was hardly anything on this show I could nitpick. Even like this is another show that was just really strong from start to finish. I'm even starting to get behind the Death Riders Cope stuff because like Cope is showing his intelligence and his experience as the respected veteran by knowing that you got to take out the cronies and doing it one by one and recruiting people. I mean, he seemed surprised that Willow was out there, but he was still recruiting people who have been wronged, who have a stake in it like he does, to help him in his cause. Like, he's not going to win. Like, he's still going to lose. I wouldn't put it past him to debut a new Death Rider, have somebody switch sides or whatever. But, like, man,
it would be devastating.
I think the match will be good. Edge knows how to lay out a match.
Oh yeah,
Cope knows how to lay out a match.
Oh yeah, the two of them can
and
fight it out pretty good.
It's so funny too because like he doesn't look like the kind of guy, but there's so much history of him destroying his own body for the sake of this art. Like you look at Moxley and even if you've never seen him before, it's like, oh yeah, that's a deathmatch guy.
Oh yeah, he just looks like one. Yeah,
he just looks like one of those mean guys that is just a complete sadomasochist and likes to give as good as get.
Yeah.
But like Edge doesn't look like that. Like he looks like your prototypical wrestler, so you don't think of that. But then you think how many TLC matches, Hell in a Cell matches, Elimination Chambers, crazy matches that this guy's not only been a part of but pioneered, and Last Man Standing match, the whole bit, the whole gamut. And it's like, yeah, this guy might be a little bit of that mold too. He can certainly, absolutely hang with Mox should it go there. It's not advertised as any kind of hardcore match or whatever. But yeah, I don't anticipate it not turning into one by virtue of who's in it. They'll stretch the limits of the rules as much as will be allowed. And I'm getting even behind that simply because even if it's a new guy, that's at least it won't be the same finish that got so tired with the bloodline. Oh, Solo Sikoa and the Usos are here. Oh, who could have called that?
Everybody.
Like, it's the same crap. So the fact that they're taking that element out of that, it doesn't convince me that Cope is going over, but it does convince me that it will be something different that we haven't seen before in this title reign, which is Mox not having backup.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I am honestly very little bad to say about this show. This was a great Dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
So with that said, maybe we should just kick it over to the Morton.
Yeah. All right. It's time for our Morton spot this week, and for our Morton spot this week, that it's going to be SmackDown. Our go home show to Elimination Chamber. So we started out with we're in Toronto. Day before, we're at a whole different arena than where they're doing Elimination Chamber. Obviously, they're already setting up Elimination Chamber. So we're in a different arena in Toronto, and we start the show off with Trish Stratus because, of course, we do. And also because Jericho doesn't work for WWE. So or Cope or any of like the major Canadian guys. Weird.
You could have at least tried it out in Italia.
Yeah, but I think maybe they saved that for Calgary.
Maybe
If they ever do a
was
show
Chelsea
in Calgary
Green on the
again.
show?
Yes, she was. And
There you go.
and actually here. So Trish Stratus comes out, she's talking about, her and Tiffany having their match with Nia and Candice LeRae. Then they're interrupted by Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And Chelsea Green's like, she's talking about how glad she is that she doesn't live in Canada anymore. Because she's like the perfect example of an American and all this. Piper is dressed as a Mountie. Once again, killing it with her security. I guess not. I hear you, but I'm not recording your side.
I'm going to do that, unmute that, so we can just edit this part. I thought that was illegal because I distinctly remember when Jacques Rougeau was the Mountie, how when he went north of the border, he couldn't be the Mountie, and he had to be Jacques Rougeau because there's some kind of law up there that prohibits even that as impersonating a police officer.
Wow. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like it was real strict. Maybe they changed the law since 1991.
Yeah, maybe they have. But yeah, she was totally dressed up as a Mountie and totally killing it with her security detail thing as usual. Pretty good match, back and forth. Ended up in a no contest because Nia Jax and Candice LeRae interfered. Kind of brought down the vibe because it was a pretty good match. They were chanting for Trish pretty hard. She kind of choked up a little bit. And Tiffany's swanton that she did this time was very close to ending badly. It was kind of scary watching it. It was very close to ending badly. Like, she pulled it off, but man, oh man. Whew. Just like watching the tape back, you can be like, oh my God. Wow, that could have been very bad. But it went well, thankfully. Just, man, it was, I mean, I know that's kind of the case every time you do a move, but this was real close. Then we had Andrade. So now we're having like a series of matches to determine the number one contender for the United States Championship. First of all, LA Knight is the number one contender to the United States champion because he hasn't had his rematch yet. And WWE definitely does the rematch clause.
Oh, yeah. More often than not, actually.
So LA Knight is the number one contender to the United States Championship. However, he has to fight in this series of matches. So the first match was supposed to be Solo versus Andrade, but Solo asked Jacob to do it, I guess, because he can't tell him to do it anymore. He has to ask and grovel nicely because Jacob seems like he will kill Solo, and he very well could. So we have Fatu versus Andrade, which was a really good match.
That's an interesting clash of styles right there.
Yeah, it was pretty
interesting. Both of those guys like to hit, so
yeah. But they have like like Andrade pull off some like over the top rope Hurricane Ranas and reverse Ranas and stuff like that. Fatu was taking them and selling them like a champ. Everything went really well. Like these guys oddly had really great ring charisma together. It was good. Then they go into hyping up the Elimination Chamber a little bit, and then Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins are on their way to take on the Garzas, and they get attacked from behind by DIY. So DIY is like kicking the shit out of oh my God, Street Profits. Yeah, Street Profits. So they're kicking the crap out of Street Profits. Then Los Garzas, who are already in the ring, are like, hey, no, you can't be messing up our match like this. So they start attacking DIY. And then Pretty Deadly show up and they kind of kick everybody's ass for a hot minute until the Motor City Machine Guns show up. So, I mean, we've got 5 tag teams battling it out here, and they're all viable contenders to this tag team championship. The WWE hasn't made any of them look particularly weak. So they all kind of have an equal shot right now at this title. After that, we had the second in our number 1 contender match series, and it was Santos Escobar versus LA Knight. We already know from previous iterations of this happening over and over again every week that I hate LA Knight versus Santos Escobar, and I still hate it. Okay. The only difference about this match was that I loved the ending because Santos Escobar came off the top rope for like a crossbody or something like that, and LA Knight caught him in the BFT coming off the top and just dropped his forehead.
Oh, nice.
Just dropped him directly.
It was finish.
Great. It was a great finish. So, good finish on the match. They then had McIntyre and Rhodes backstage having a little bit of a respectful exchange, kind of, as respectful as you can get when you're about to face each other, or you're trying to get the one of them's trying to take the other's title, I guess. Then we had Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Strowman. Oh, wait. Before that, we had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So Sami Zayn comes out to the ring. He's doing his promo. Kevin Owens, he wants Kevin to come out so they can say this face to face. And Kevin pops up on the screens, and he's at the Elimination Chamber venue in the ring there with his promo.
That's interesting.
So
that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So he wants to keep them separated or whatever, but Sammy basically tells him I hope you're ready because I know your parents and I know your wife and children and I love them all. And if they can't forgive me for what I'm going to do to you on Saturday, then I'm prepared for them to not forgive me. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
He's serious.
Yeah.
That's how you put over how serious you are.
I think we have to have another match that we'll talk about that later.
Well, I mean, the lights out or the unsanctioned match being the first one in this part of the feud, kind of an Elimination Chamber. No, something's big coming for WrestleMania.
I hope so.
It has to be.
And I'm going to talk about that I'm not at length, but I am going to talk about some things about Elimination Chamber, especially with this match that put me off. So Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Strowman was next. And he's basically kicking Carmelo Hayes' ass, and Tama Tonga came to distract him. And Tama Tonga is distracting the referee, and Solo comes in and he hits Braun Strowman with a chair, and Braun just no-sells the shit out of it. He turns around what are you doing? And grabs the chair from him, and he's but he tosses the chair and it goes in the ring. And so Braun gets back in the ring, and he's getting ready he's going over to Carmelo to get the to finish the match. And Tama is still distracting the referee. So Carmelo grabs the chair and pulls a full Eddie. He slams the chair on the ring, tosses it to Braun Strowman, and falls down. And the referee turns around and he sees Braun Strowman with the chair and sees Carmelo on the floor going, and he calls the DQ.
We lie, we cheat, we steal.
Yeah, he totally pulled.
We lie, we cheat, we steal.
So it wasn't much of a match before this interference. It wasn't much of anything. Carmelo Hayes was getting his ass kicked pretty thoroughly, and then this interference allowed Carmelo Hayes to eke out a win. So they're still giving him wins. They're still trying to kind of push towards him and Miz being a thing, but I really don't want this to happen. I just don't. So then we had Bayley, Bianca Belair, and Naomi versus Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Roxanne Perez, which I didn't know Roxanne Perez was a heel. People sure don't treat her like one. So I didn't know. I know she's at odds with Bayley, but honestly,
talent gets over.
I'm not such a fan of Bayley that I see Roxanne as the heel here. Like Bailey's going to NXT and messing with Roxanne, not really the other way around so much. So I'm kind of, I don't know. I don't see Roxanne Perez as a heel. Maybe it's because she's from Texas, and I always give everybody from Texas a little bit of leeway. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin was an asshole, and he was everybody's favorite face. So,
I mean, Roxanne is so talented.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes just when people are that talented, they're going to get good reactions, regardless of what they're scripted to do and say.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens. I mean, she's a prodigy. That woman is like, what, 21? She's
21 or something like that. Yeah.
She's super young. Like, she is, and she's already a 2-time NXT champion. She was the inaugural Ring of Honor Women's Champion at 19 or 18, I think.
Yeah.
Like, she's a prodigy. She's an absolute prodigy. And not just in the ring, but on the stick, too. Girl knows how to do everything. And when you know how to do everything well, you will get over.
Yeah.
Eventually. Sometimes faster than others. But, I mean, to me, that speaks of maybe more of the live audience watches NXT than maybe we think initially. If she's getting that kind of reaction with that little main roster TV time.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they just want something new.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'd have to ask every single audience member of the last month.
So, yeah, I mean, this is a good 6-man with the ladies. Most of these ladies are in the Elimination Chamber. See, Naomi, Bianca, Bailey, Roxanne, and Liv. So Raquel's the only one in this match who's not in the Elimination Chamber. And the one who is in the chamber who's not in this match is Alexa Bliss, who I would not expect to team with either of these teams.
Right.
Just because she is a whole.
Why they didn't.
Liv and Raquel are heels. Alexa is a whole nother level of something.
She's something entirely unto herself at this point.
Yes.
Probably.
She is. And we'll talk about that in the chamber a little bit.
I mean, anybody who kind of crosses into that Bray universe kind of falls into that category.
Mm-hmm.
They're nebulous, whether they're a face or a heel. It doesn't seem to apply to them, really.
Yeah.
So.
Perez gets the win for her team with her Pop Rocks finisher, and then Alexa Bliss showed up and attacked her. So they're still involving Alexa Bliss. It was a good match. They had a decent amount of time. But really the main thing that came out of this and what kind of led me to believe that we were going to see something at limit, and I didn't know at the time how bad it was going to, or how crazy it was going to be, but Wade Barrett is planting the seeds here, especially here, like really hard in this match, that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez might not be the people who took out Jade Cargill.
Right.
And
I mean, I don't think anybody really thought they were.
No, I don't think anybody really thought they were. I smelled red herring the whole time. Like Liv was okay. Look, y'all. Everybody knows Liv Morgan has been arrested for marijuana possession while in the employ of the WWE. Big whoop. Okay, so let me explain to you what was going on there when she was caught on tape. There, Liv was coming back from smoking, and she was like, "Well, what's going on over there, man?" And so, anyway, kayfabe, whatever. Maybe not. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure they made that video to make her look that way, but they were planting a red herring with us the whole time. We all knew it.
Yeah.
All right. Us stoners, especially, were like, she's just hitting the pin. She didn't attack nobody. You know. So yeah, she. I kind of knew that she wasn't, or that was a red herring. So, but. How that's going to go, I'm still not sure at this point. But after that, we got to our main event of the night, which is the culmination of these U.S. number one contender qualifying matches. And so we've got Jacob. So Solo Sikoa was trying to get his spot. So like Jacob Fatu won that match. And Solo's trying to get his spot back now because that was his spot. And Fatu's like, no. Like, what, you can come get it?
I don't love you that much, Solo.
Yeah. So we've got Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes. And kind of a weird combination, but the way they ended it made it really cool. So, like, we got a really good match going on. Fatu dropped Hayes and then got up and did that moonsault. Like, he does this, like, double jump moonsault that he does. And he did that and hit Hayes with it. And he was gonna, that was it. That was pretty much it. Hayes was done for. And as he pinned him, LA Knight grabbed Jacob Fatu and drug him out of the ring. And like he hit the floor and it stunned him long enough for LA Knight to jump in and pin Carmelo Hayes. So LA Knight, who was already the number one contender, is now the number one contender to the US Championship.
Well, you got some good wrestling out of it.
It was some good wrestling and it was fun, but we did all that to be right where we started.
Classic WWE.
Classic WWE. I don't know. Like, I guess maybe they were like, what do we do tonight? Because we've kind of done everything we can do except for a couple little things as we lead into Elimination Chambers. So, like, what do we do? That's kind of what this felt like. It felt like just a few, they just put some structure to the matches in between the promos that we wanted for the go home. But it was not a bad SmackDown. It especially was not as bad as last week. In fact, it was as good as last week was bad. The wrestling was top notch. So I can't really complain too much, but we did do all that to be right back where we started. That's really the only complaint I have about it is that, we were kind of already here, guys.
You know what I would have done if it was me with the book and the pencil? The week before I would have had the rematch and have Nakamura say, "No, you're not worthy of this," and like purposely get counted out, or purposely, as he's been known to do in the past, kick him in the nuts and cause a DQ. It's like, well, I lost, but you didn't win either, and that was the last rematch that you were getting.
Yeah.
And so then it gives us impetus to not only have this series to determine a new number one contender, but it also doesn't annoy us that the guy who wins it was the previous guy, because he needs justice.
Yeah. But of course they didn't give us that middle step.
That would have been, honestly, that would have been like a 3-minute segment. They could have spared that. They didn't need The Rock talking for half an hour.
Oh, well, man, I am so tired of The Rock already. I am so tired of The Rock, and we will talk more about that.
Can you imagine that we're saying this?
Dude, I can now.
Like
seeing him come in and jumble up a perfectly good WrestleMania build. Like, yes, I can definitely see myself saying it. Now, 20 years ago, would I have been like, I'm sick of The Rock? No. 20 years ago, I missed The Rock.
That's what I'm saying. Can you believe that, we were such fans when we were little kids? Everything The Rock did was gold.
Yeah.
Nothing sucked, and everything, he could do no wrong. And now here we are 20 years later. It's like, oh, go away.
Yeah, go away. It's total go away.
Go away.
Yeah, like.
Bummer. It's such a bummer.
It's a bummer, dude.
I don't want to feel like that towards anybody that I have such great memories of.
Yeah.
In wrestling.
Well,
it's always sad when that happens.
He made some
I don't like feeling that way.
He made some new memories for me this week, and we'll get to that after we talk about Collision. So, with that said, it is time for Hope Spot. Yeah.
Okay, Hope Spot, the very rare Hope Spot, it comes in the form of AEW Collision the 1st of March, 2025, from Oakland, California, which will play into things later on.
Yes.
This was a stacked card, great wrestling. I'm glad they brought back the opening mini promos to start the show. I love that bit about Collision. It gives it its own little identity. FTR says they haven't been right since the tag team division hasn't been right since they left, and now they're back, basically. Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong said that they haven't teamed together as a 2-person tag team in years, but nothing has changed. They're still the best in the world. Top guy's down. Cole doesn't want to win the TNT championship. He needs to, and tonight that changes. Julia Hart's there with Brody King. She says the heart always wins. Nothing special about that. But Okada comes in from off camera and interrupts them. Oh, so sorry, so sorry. And Brody barks at him, and it's funny. It's funny, especially since Okada, like,
He
he takes out his
flinches.
belt and he, like, he flinches, yes. He takes out his belt and he shines it up as if something Brody King did or said actually harmed the belt. Like, I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, I don't think that's how that works, Kazuchika, but that's okay. And then Bandito and Hobbs say that they're going to handle town business tonight because they're in Hobbs' hometown, which, like, on any other card, Hobbs and Bandito versus Big Bill and Brian Keith probably wouldn't be the main event. But tonight, because it's a hometown thing for Hobbs, that's why it's there. And once that was explained, I was like, oh, okay, that's fine then. Like, I'm all for hometown main events. That's great.
Yeah.
Give the people paying to sit in those seats their money's worth. Match number 1 was Undisputed Kingdom versus FTR. I mean, can these two have a bad match?
No.
I don't think it's in them. Like, Roddy is a freaking wrestling demon. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a gas tank on a guy like Roddy Strong. Like, the dude is, I think he probably has like, I think maybe he was just always felt like he was undersized and people underestimated him for that, and so he just goes so hard for so long every single time. And then Kyle has that weird, awesome, like, mixed martial arts inspired style that he has. FTR, the best tag team in the world. This was an interesting match too because it ended initially way sooner than I thought after a pile driver, but Kyle got his foot on the ropes. Referee didn't see it. Raises Dax's hand. Dax wants to win honorably. So I don't think I have ever seen.
My instinct says this was a referee mistake.
I don't think
everything in my body as a referee was like because the referee was turned in a direction where he absolutely would not see that leg. So this is either absolutely planned or he effed up. Now, and for some reason I felt like he effed up because it just felt awkward to me at the beginning. Like, Dax is like, restart the match, and the referee's like, no, I counted it, dude. Match over. Because he fought it for a second. And that's why I was like, like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but you didn't look the way you're supposed to be looking.
I think that's the I mean, here's the thing.
But my alarms went off. Maybe there's nothing to it, but it just.
I think the fact that you thought that, though, is proof that if it was planned, it did what it was set to accomplish.
Maybe so.
And I think that it was part of the plan because there's no way that Dax would pile drive somebody that close to the rope ever and then look for the pin if it wasn't supposed to be broken up. That was a planned spot, I think. And I think it goes to show, like, because the way that they handled it afterwards was like, he didn't want to. If it wasn't planned, I think they would have just rolled with it. I don't think they would have done this big hullabaloo and then gone on for another, like, 15 minutes. Like, I think they would have just, like, oh, well, that ended that. Okay, let's fill some time with somebody else that we had. Hey, get some Ring of Honor guys on there. Get Billy Starks a match. Whatever.
Yeah.
I think they would have, I don't think this match would have continued. I think they would have replaced the time with something else. But either way, what we wound up getting, whether it was planned or not, was very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a babyface wind up in that situation and then plead for the referee to restart the match that they won because they accidentally won a match when they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Like, I like it because I don't think I've ever seen that before. It came back to bite them in the butt, though. Because FTR lost this match afterwards. Now, to be fair, like, the match itself, like I said, would go on for another 10, 15 minutes, and it was good. And, it was a showcase of how good these teams are, especially especially FTR, was there were 3 attempts to try and get the Powerplex up. And that's a move that they have finished lower card guys with on occasion, but never like a big high profile team. But the crowd, once they actually hit it, was so, they were hook, line, and sinker. The visible was audible when it was kicked out of. Like when Roddy or when Kyle kicked out of that, the fans could not believe that that wasn't the finish. When that's never the finish. Like that's how good they are, is that they make you believe, you know.
Yeah.
That being said, uh Roddy breaks up a shatter machine on Kyle with a knee to the face. They get the high and low on, I think it was Cash, and which is rare. Cash rarely takes the pin. It's usually Dax taking the pin.
Hmm.
But yeah, like, and then that was it. The Undisputed Kingdom win, and it was, I, I wouldn't say shocking necessarily, because they've been building the Undisputed Kingdom back up from the doldrums of the end of that MJF feud since it ended. You know, mostly for trio success, but like, and it looks like FTR is like, they're trying to, I think they're trying to push them into a heel turn here. They're
Hmm.
going to get frustrated that even though they did everything right, they still can't make it work. Maybe I should have taken the easy way out, that kind of deal. I think that's what this is setting up. And let's be honest, heel F, as much as I enjoy babyface FTR, heel FTR is better. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay if that's what's gonna happen. Will Nightingale has a pre-tape. She says that people forget that when the smile fades, that I'm still the babe with the power, and I'm gonna use it. I'm not
Yeah.
afraid to. It's like,
I loved
yeah,
it.
all right. This is setting something up. I can tell that this is setting up for a push, a renewed push for Willow, and that's nothing but a good thing.
Hmm.
Match number 2 was Wheeler Yuta versus the returning Willie Mack. We love Willie Mack. Willie Mack's great, and he's I don't think he's from Los Angeles or Oakland or anywhere in that area, but I know he's from California. I can't remember where in California, but he got a good like home state pop. And this wasn't just a squash match. There was some back and forth. In fact, Willie Mack hit a beautiful inverted cannonball. That really looked like it just destroyed Yuta. But Yuta blocks a stunner and counters with a Busaiku knee for the win. Though, it's becoming clear. He even did the "I have till 5" referee spot. Like it's very clear that Wheeler is processing what he did to Bryan Danielson by attempting to become him.
Yeah.
Between the hair and the move set and the rope thing, like I don't think it's taunting. I think it's his process. I think it's his grieving process that he's passing off as taunting. I think
Mm.
it's just he misses his other wrestle dad. And
Yeah.
he feels bad about what he's done, but he can't show that he feels bad about what he's done because the Death Riders would beat the piss out of him.
Right.
So I think it's, I mean, maybe I'm looking too far into it, but it's not out of the question for AEW wrestlers to go that deep and it to not even be noticed. So I don't know, maybe.
Hmm.
But after the match, Moxley is here. He's carrying this briefcase. He blasts, absolutely destroys Willie Mack as he tries to get up, and he tells Yuta that it's up to him and that he has a match with Cope on Dynamite next week, and he it's just you now, and I want you to take him out. So Mox is scared. Mox is scared. He's not pissed. He didn't come off as angry. He came off as terrified that he has to face Adam Copeland without backup. Which is very unlike Mox. So it's a new side to this character that's never a bad thing. Um, Yuta then picks up the briefcase and then adds his own briefcase imprint to Willie Mack's face. And then we go backstage, and Mercedes Moné is back there and quickly gets interrupted by Billy Starks, who gives her missing TBS Championship title belt back. But, Momo's there too. And, enjoy it while it lasts, blah, blah, blah. She throws tea in Moné's face.
That was hilarious. I thought it was
Yeah.
awesome.
And then Timeless Tony Storm.
Mm.
My God, what a woman! She's in black and white, and she's in a bed presumably at home, though probably not, wearing her neck-strung neck brace. And it's like, what do you want, Mariah? Do you want the title? You can pry it off my cold, dead hips. You want my soul? Oh, I'm leaving that at home. You want a Hollywood ending? Is that what you want? Because that I can give you. No countouts. No rope breaks. No disqualifications. Falls count anywhere. I hope you believe in God, because you're going to meet her. Epic stuff.
Epic.
From Tony. Just her entire delivery. I can barely believe that this is the same woman who I became a fan of during the 2 Mae Young Classic tournaments.
Right.
Like, this is a completely different performer.
Yeah.
And it astounds me to this day that, like, they're the same person somehow. Like, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I am glad that this match is getting a gimmick to blow it off. And I really hope that they talk to Dustin Rhodes backstage and pay homage to the WrestleMania 12 backlot brawl that he had with Roddy Piper in some way. I really would very much like a shout out to that in some fashion. In fact, they could do the whole deal where it starts the show and then ends, they go on a car chase all across Los Angeles and then wind up back in the ring before the main event. If this doesn't main event, straight up, which it should, that's what I would do it. I would just book the Hollywood Backlot Brawl. That's all you need.
It should definitely main event.
It absolutely should main event. Because, I mean, as to the degree that I'm now more into the men's world title program, I'm getting back. I'm getting into it now. This still has, I mean, this has been a little over a year in the making as a storyline. I feel like this not only deserved to main event the Australia show, it deserves to main event this show.
Yeah.
Make history.
Think so too.
I think Tony should go over. I don't like the hot potatoing. Yeah, I don't like it. Why give it to her? Why give her a 4th title reign only to make it a month? I don't like that idea.
Right.
Have Mariah, and now because most of Mariah May's title reign was against kind of lower card ladies. Now she can have different feuds with those higher up on the card without the belt on the line. So there's a little bit more unpredictability about who's going over in those feuds.
Yeah.
Because they're not just treading water until Tony comes back to get her belt anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. This next match was honestly probably the low point of the night. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. Swerve Strickland versus Clark Connors. Clark Connors just doesn't really do anything for me.
Me either.
He's just kind of a guy. Like he's a guy. Like what they should have done is with his look, with his cowboy gimmick or whatever, they should have had Swerve Strickland see him and immediately get like Hangman flashbacks and just savage the guy in about 2 minutes. But no, they'd probably have to keep New Japan happy, and he's one of their Bullet Club guys, so this had to go for like 15 minutes when it didn't need to. No, Swerve Wings, I mean, it was okay. It got better towards the end, I'll say that. Once they amped things up towards the finish, that got better. But like nothing Connors did really like stood out as being super special or anything like that. Sorry. Like I know I'm talking about real people here and their talent when I've never stepped in the ring. I always feel kind of bad for that, but like if he doesn't do anything for me, he doesn't do anything for me. I can't help that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, House Call gets it out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. Swerve tells Swerve goes a different route as far as the promo goes. Like lots of different kinds of promos tonight. This one was without a mic in hand, he just looks at the ringside camera and just cuts his promo right to the camera, and says, basically, he's taking back our legacy. So he is absolutely including Nana in his revenge. He is making it a priority to include Nana and them as like one entity, and that his justice is just as important as Swerve's own. So I feel like that's a good way to move things forward and clarify things. Back from the break, Harley Cameron joins the desk for a weird segment.
It was weird,
It
man.
was weird. I've never seen somebody go to like, this should have been in the ring, right? Like, normally a segment like this would have been in the ring, but apparently she just sat down at the commentary desk with Nigel and Tony, and apparently she must have been mic'd for the whole house because the crowd reacted to what she was doing.
Yeah.
So they must have heard her. But she basically said, "Oh yeah, it kind of surprised me too that I picked up the win. But I noticed, Tony, that you didn't call my finishing move." And Tony's like, "Well, I didn't know what to call. I've never seen that move from you before. I don't know what you call it." And Hardy's like, you know what? I don't know what it is either. What do you think we should what should we call it?" It's like, I don't know. It's your finishing move. What do you want to call it? And she's like, "That's it. That's it. We're going to call my finishing move my finishing move. Thank you, Tony." And then she just leaves. She just leaves.
Yeah, she just
Like,
leaves.
she doesn't join for the next match or on commentary. Like, it was a weird like, I love the my finishing move silliness. I love that. But why was this at the commentary? This didn't need to be a commentary table. This was super weird. Not
Weird.
offensive, but just very strange.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just leaning into Harley Cameron being a weirdo.
Maybe.
I mean, Harley Cameron's a hot, multi-talented weirdo. Like,
Pretty much.
she's a weirdo. Backstage, Big Boom AJ is back with his son, and Johnny TV kind of bumps him and says, like, "Hey, I saw what you did to MXM Collection a little while ago, and don't mess with them. Hey, because you're gonna get me. Now, while I'm around, you're not messing with them. So how about you get two friends, if you have any, together, and you can meet me at Revolution with MXM." And so Big Boom AJ sends his son off to find two friends because apparently he can't do it himself.
Guess not. That's called child labor, Big Boom AJ.
It was a favor. It was a chore. It was an outside
chore. Okay.
Shane Taylor Promotions versus three local guys is up next, and they did to local guys what they do to local guys.
Yeah. No surprises
they just
here.
Destroy them. They look good. I mean, Lee Moriarty hit him with a move I haven't seen him do before. I can't even really describe it. It was kind of like an impaler, I guess. Impaler DDT. I think he just sat out with it though. So
yeah.
Anyway, as they're walking back up the ramp there, that's when Adam Cole's music hits, and we're reminded that Shane Taylor Promotions and Undisputed Era and FTR or not FTR 2.0 and Danny Garcia have all been kind of in this weird three-way feud, and so they give him evil looks as he goes up the ramp for his TNT title match against Danny Garcia. Weird placement, being in the middle of the show, but normally this would be a main event, but it was not to be because it wasn't a hometown guy, so that's fine. But it did kind of give away the finish that there wasn't going to be one.
Yeah.
Or at the very least that the title wasn't going to change hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these two have pretty good chemistry though. Like, I think this is one of Adam Cole's better matches back from his injury.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, yeah, like there was some good stuff in there. Ultimately, the match ends in the very rare AEW double disqualification. I think this is maybe the second double disqualification they've ever done.
Maybe.
Like they don't do this often. So when they do it, you know that it's for a reason. They're setting something up. Shane Taylor Promotions hits not even like at a moment where it could be considered like the end. Like it was like during like uh, Danny Garcia got the better was getting the better of a hockey fight, and then all of a sudden STP comes in and they're beating everybody up. Like it wasn't to break up a pin. It wasn't because he was had him locked in the sharpshooter or anything like that. It wasn't to like break up a finish. It was just they were there to cause chaos because they didn't like these guys. So double disqualification, no contest, whatever you want to call it. That's what we got here. Um, Beat him up a little bit after the match. Daddy Magic was on commentary, but Shane Taylor blindsides him before he can get in the ring to help. Um, yeah, I was surprised there was no Undisputed Kingdom. Like they were there in the building. Why
Yeah.
didn't they save Adam Cole?
No idea.
It was kind of suspect. Were they in the shower? I don't know. I imagine though, given the way the company works, that the next time they're on camera, they will explain it away with some line. Oh, we were in the shower. Oh, we were getting packed. Oh, by the time we had gotten to the curtain, they had already left or whatever. So, um, Big
Yeah.
Justice comes back and he's like, "Oh, I got two friends for you, Dad. Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe." And all of a sudden, I'm invested in this match
Yeah, it's
because it's
literally all it
Mark
took for me to be
Briscoe
into it. Yeah.
and Orange Cassidy. Like it'll be on 0 Hour, but like you know, I'm not. We covered this the last time he had a match. With QT Marshall. Like I'm I'm not against Big Boom AJ. I think I mean I don't think he's as popular now as he was when he had his first match. So I don't know how much longer you can go back to that well. But I mean social media fame is a fleeting thing. So, that being said, it's not an offensive match, and it'll be mostly comedy stuff with MXM and Johnny TV being in there anyway. And Orange Cassidy is a comedy guy, and Mark Briscoe certainly is silly enough that even though his serious stuff is serious stuff, it's also silly. Like it'll be a nice fun main event for 0 Hour. Next
Yeah.
match was our only women's match of the night. We still need to do better about getting more women's matches on these cards. Not that anything else that was on this card was bad per se, but like if we had shortened that swerve match to just a squash match of Clark Connors, we could have fit another short women's match on the card. Just saying.
Yeah.
That being said, this was the second meeting of Julia Hart and Queen Aminata. Uh, some good back and forth. The deal going into this was in preparation for this. Serena Deeb, who had been scouting Aminata and trying to recruit her to Deeb's dojo, gave her some kind of detailed battle plan for this match with Julia Hart, and you could see that she probably was, they didn't say explicitly or show explicitly that she had taken that advice, except in that Aminata was wrestling much more of a technical style throughout much of this match, much more like Serena Deeb,
Hmm.
uh, of what you would expect from her. So you have to think that this is leading, especially since she won this match, is leading to her actually accepting Deeb's offer in the end. But yeah, that sliding running kick that she walks that she goes right through them on the bottom as her opponent's hanging on the bottom rope looked amazing. It always did. This time it got the win though, so I think this is her new finisher. She got the headbutt and she got the sliding kick. I think Nigel made the great call. I don't know if it was off the cuff or if it was planned, but he called it off with her head. Makes sense for the queen. So yeah, I'd say big upset considering Aminata's former place on the card. She's just been losing a lot. So yeah, I think this is good. And now Julia Hart has two rubber matches that she can look forward to. One
Yeah.
against Queenie here, and the other one against Hater.
Yeah.
So you've got options. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, Kenny Omega has a video, uh, basically saying that it's no longer about personal stuff. It's about just the international title.
Mm.
and and proving that the old Kenny Omega isn't gone. He really put over the international title as essentially a workhorse title.
Mhm.
Like basically, whoever is in that spot with that belt is the best wrestler,
Yeah.
is what he heavily implied. So, and I think that there's a strong case to be made. I would argue that. Like, look at the guys who've held it.
Yeah.
Pac, Orange Cassidy, then Moxley, then Phoenix, then Cassidy, and then Roddy, and then Osprey, MJF, Osprey, and Takeshita.
Yeah.
Like, that's a murderer's row. That's an incredible string of champions right there.
Yeah. That's
All are very
yes.
good technical, in ring performers. Um, so yeah, that's that.
Mhm.
Main event time was Powerhouse Hobbs and Bandito versus the Learning Tree. I mean, this was fun. It wasn't like anything super like there was some fun stuff in here. Like they tried to do Big Bill tried to get Bandito to do the the showdown spot, the duel spot, but instead he blindsided him when he turned around because even at 7 feet tall, he still needs to cheat.
Yeah.
Uh, um, man, Big Bill is still making the most of all his minutes, and it makes me really happy to see him come back from you know being being in the bottle all the time and stuff like that. Like he's been looking really really good ever since they hired him. He's been slowly kind of building himself back up to the point where he's getting over, and they're probably going to need to turn him soon.
Yeah.
Like within the next 3 or 4 months, I could see it happening where they just officially turn him babyface.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, nothing like. Uh, I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't like there were two or three other matches on this card that were probably better matches and would probably have made for it the main event. But like this got the crowd super duper hot because Hobbs is super. I mean, he's over anyway, but he's especially over in his hometown. Like
Mhm.
he just, Hobbs just runs through Keith at the end, pulls down the straps as Bill is laid down the outside by Bandito, hits the incredible spine buster that he has, one of the best spine busters I've ever seen of anybody do. Very Arn Anderson esque, and just plants him, and that one's over. Like they sent the hometown crowd happy. Like they just sent them home happy. Can't ask for more than that. Um, this was another great show. A few more nitpicks than on Dynamite. I think Dynamite was probably overall a little bit better than Collision, which is saying something because usually I'm more of a fan of Collision than Dynamite on any given week. But there weren't any nitpicks that I could point out on Dynamite, whereas there were a couple of weird things that happened on Saturday. But yeah, like still a great show. Like I wouldn't change much, but in any case, that'll do it for that. Let's take it home. Let's get that hot tag out of the
Let's
way.
get the hot tag in, baby. All right. So for this week's hot tag, we have WWE Elimination Chamber 2025. And okay, first of all, I'll say this. They definitely split this show between the men and the women equally. There's two of each
All
match.
right.
And the entire first half of the show is women. So
Hmm.
now here's where we're gonna go ahead and get crazy because I mean 18 minutes into this pay-per-view and I texted you at this point and was like, I've just been sitting here
Yeah.
like, oh my god. Because
Yeah. I only got it the next day. I went to bed a little bit earlier.
but I saw so I mean I'll put it this way. The first match is the women's elimination chamber, and it was absolutely the best match of the night, without question. Absolutely the best match of the night. Um, so we have um Roxanne Perez Bailey, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Alexa Bliss. Um, we get everybody in except Liv and Naomi. They're gonna start the match, but before they shut the big cage door, other music starts playing. And I don't know whose music it is off the top of my head.
Well, it's Def Rebel, so
And
that's not unusual.
also, maybe I haven't heard it in a while. And it ends up being that I haven't heard it in a while because it's Jade Cargill. And
about time.
she is dressed in like very nice black set of gear. Like, and Naomi and Bianca are both wearing like pure white. So this is very like showing contrast in this case, but
right.
We'll get to that in a sec. She's like got really nice gear. She looks like she's in really good shape. Like I was like, hell yes, Jade's back, but she's pissed, and she is walking down the rampway with like a freaking purpose, and Liv is standing there in the middle of the ring looking terrified as Jade marches up the ring, gets within one step of Liv, draws back, and punches Naomi dead in the face. And at this point, everybody who's not starting the match is locked in their cell, which means Bianca is locked in her cell. And she is having an absolute meltdown in there while Jade literally demolishes Naomi. And I mean, to say she gave her an ass kicking is not doing it justice. She beat the brakes off her from pillar to post for like 4.5 minutes. Like she was kicking her into pods, slamming her head into everything.
What was Raquel doing? Was she just sitting back?
Raquel was not out there.
Oh.
Yeah. Raquel was not present. But yeah, Jade was kicking Naomi's ass for like 4.5 minutes, and then she threw her out the door, but she landed to where like it was just her head hanging out the door, and Jade grabbed that big ass sliding door on the Elimination Chamber and slammed it shut on her head. That's why I was sitting there like, because that's at the point, that's the time, that 18-minute and like 15-second mark is when that happened. And that's when I texted you. I was like, holy shit. And Bianca's having a meltdown. Liv is in the corner laughing her ass off. And Jade just kind of and walks out. and
what does Liv just pull her in there and pin her?
No. The announcer comes on because the paramedics come down and they put a neck brace on her and they drag her onto a stretcher, and the announcer says Naomi cannot compete, so she is eliminated.
If Liv really, they should have had Liv pin her anyway, insist on pinning her anyway for heat.
Well,
that's what they should have done.
So the next entrant, let me see if I've got my stuff.
It's like as if she had anything to do with it, you know.
Yeah. So then but like Jade's gone. They get Naomi pulled out of there, put on the stretcher, and they shut and lock the door. Finally, so this is the point where the door is shut and locked, and then Bianca Belair is the first person pulled out of their pod for the fight. So she is.
Liv gonna get at.
Well, at first, no. She is like literally having an emotional meltdown in there. And so when she comes out, she just looks confused. And Liv goes to whooping her ass until it kind of wakes her up. And then Liv starts getting at. And here is where we see maybe the most egregiously awful, painful looking thing I have ever seen in wrestling.
That covers a lot of ground.
It does.
Dude.
They climb on. So Liv is getting her ass beat by Bianca, and she's trying to run away. So she hops up on the top rope and then hops up on the top of this, one of the pods, and then she starts climbing outward from the pod on the wall of the chamber. But she only gets like a rung outward before Bianca catches her. And when Bianca catches her, she grabs her hair, which has these little bead things all the way down it, and she whips the shit out of Liv with it. And I mean, like, the only sound that I can say is comparable is for those of us who've been in band during Christmas time, when you play the sleigh bell song and they use that big thing with the two boards to make the whip sound. That's what it sounded like, and it sounded like
to do that a lot in NXT, and I loved it.
reverberated through the freaking arena. It was so loud, and then Liv fell and held her stomach for a minute, and then like right after that happened, the next pod popped. So Liv had some time to sell. But when she finally took her hand off her stomach, she had a welt like all the way across her body, and she was bleeding.
Yeah, that's why they don't have her whip people as often anymore, is to get the most out of it, because it is, yeah, devastating. She used to do that all the time as a heel. It was a spot she used to do in every match when she was coming up in NXT and just getting her start, because it made her different.
Yeah.
But now they've been smart with it, and they've saved it for special occasions.
Oh God, Liv, God bless you for taking it, but good God, like she cut her open with it. It was and so then that next pod that comes open is Roxanne Perez, and she immediately shows us why they picked her for the Rumble and made her the Iron Woman in the Rumble, and then got her in this match. She goes toe-to-toe with Bianca Belair, using Bianca Belair's moveset, and has a counter for everything. It just shows a great level. And the way they finish the combo is, like, Bianca goes for a swing, misses, Roxanne ducks, and gets her in a back Russian leg sweep, but she back Russian leg sweeps her into the freaking cage. And it was, but the whole sequence was just really brilliant. It really was. Like, for somebody so young, I'm so impressed with her.
Like I said, prodigy.
Oh yeah, total prodigy. Like, that shit was pro level. Like, nobody else in the match did anything like that. Like, it was still the best match of the night, but that was by far the best sequence of the best match of the night. Like, it was, everything else was still good. The next one out was Bayley. Of course, her and Roxanne go immediately after each other. So what happens is the one that comes out kind of goes towards their rival and shit cans them. And they're usually the one before it. So it's Roxanne Perez and then Bayley. And then Alexa Bliss comes out and she kind of shit cans Bayley for a little bit while she takes on kind of a recovering Liv. But then we whittle it down and it's just Liv and Bianca. So we get back down to Liv and Bianca, and Liv tries to get the Oblivion like 3 different times, and Bianca's got an answer for it every time. And on the last one, she pulls her up into KOD and gets the KOD and gets the win. So Bianca wins the Women's Elimination Chamber. It was
Bianca versus Rhea.
It was.
I'm glad
it's gonna be a banger, man.
They've had that one in the chamber for a long time. I'm glad they're pulling the trigger on it.
Right when this match ended, I said Bianca versus Rhea is gonna be a banger on Blue Sky, and then Bianca's leaving and Rhea shows up, and then after Rhea shows up, Io Sky shows up, so it might be a 3-way. And they even announced before the match that the winner was going to face Rhea Ripley or Io Sky, because they have their championship match tomorrow night as we record this. Tonight as it's uploaded.
See, it's very WWE to do a non-finish to force the 3-way.
It is, isn't it?
There's a long history,
isn't it? Yeah. So, or for Io to win, so Rhea has a rematch
that she
cashes
can
in
cash in when she wants.
Yeah. And so now it's a 3-way, because I want my rematch, but she's got her match, so too bad, you know? So it was really good. Okay. Couple things here. I don't know if it's against the law in Canada to bleed in the ring. I don't think it is, but this is the only blood all night. Even when Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens pulled out a barbed wire covered steel chair and used the shit out of it, this was the only blood of the night.
Blood from that?
No,
there was no blood. No barbed wire.
Well, oh no, wait. This wasn't the only blood of the night, but it was the only blood in a match for the rest of the night. And the other blood, I think, was a hard way. So, but this is the only blood in the match for the rest of the night. And yeah, between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, this is why I said earlier that they needed to have another match, because they didn't know, neither one of them bled. This is a blood feud. This is every one of these matches needs to be a Crimson Mask festival. So, and then the men's chamber, nobody bled. Like there was more blood. Logan Paul slapped more blood literally out of CM Punk's mouth on Monday night than anybody bled in the chamber on Saturday. So, but yeah, except for Liv bled because of that hair whip, and she's the only one who bled at all until the end. In a match.
And why would you? And we know that was hard way.
Yeah,
it wasn't necessarily planned. I mean, they probably figured it might happen.
They probably planned the whip, but I don't know if they planned the blood, like in the way that it would.
Like, because who would dig their stomach?
I don't know, but it's crazy because she whipped her on the back, and
she was bleeding.
It went around and hit her in the front. That's where that sound came from. Was it whipping around and hitting her in the front? Because she got whipped on the back.
Yikes!
Yeah. So I don't know if any of that was planned, to be honest. Like, I know the whip might have been planned, but I don't think like the result was planned. So either way, really great match. But I'm gonna say this now, and I said it a little bit on Blue Sky earlier, but Pat McAfee pretty much spent half this match talking about how the Canadian people booed the U.S. national anthem. Which, you're in Toronto. Why did y'all play the U.S. national anthem at this event? Why did you do that?
It's not hockey where they play both at every event.
Yeah, I don't know if they played the Canadian national anthem. I didn't watch the pre-show because I didn't watch this till after it was all over. And the timer when this was all over, from opening of the pre-show to after the presser at the end, was like 6.5 hours. They're looking at AEW numbers now. Nobody can complain about length of pay-per-views and pressers anymore because WWE just did 6.5 hours on Saturday night. And that's AEW numbers. Like, they're both very comparable in like the amount their runtime for pay-per-views now. So nobody can complain about this anymore. Sorry guys, that's done. It was a bad faith argument in the first place. But he kept going on and on about this, like acting so butthurt. And Pat, you need to shut the fuck up, man. I'm sorry, but this is annoying. I was so glad Wade Barrett was there to buffer him and allow Michael Cole to be a good commentator as he is, while Wade Barrett's there being a good commentator as he is. And all Pat McAfee did was bitch all night long. Like, it just added nothing to this entire show. And at one point, he personally offended me, and I can't remember which match it was, but he was like, why would anybody even want to be a referee? Nobody picks that.
No.
I'm sorry, Pat, but my name is not Kurt Angle, and my neck was broken before I joined the wrestling business, so I knew that even though I could train as a wrestler, I would never be a wrestler. And I would never be able to take the amount of bumps that it would take to be in WWE or AEW, but I could be part of this business. And so I chose to be a referee. Thank you, Pat. But you know what? Shut the fuck up, Pat. Because my 15 seconds in a Rumble earlier this year where I went over is better than anything you've done in a WWE ring. Eat my ass. I am so personally offended that he said that, and I'm sorry, but anybody else who's a referee who chose this life, they're pissed about it too, even if they don't say it out loud. But you know what? I don't work for a company right now, and I'm not beholden to anybody. So fuck you, Pat, from all of us. Now, that's the only bad thing I have to really say about the night.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't watch WWE for reasons that we went over in the first episode. But like I've heard a couple of clips from his podcast, and he's
you can call him a fucking moron if you want.
How do I put this? I'll put this how the English would put it. He's a twat.
Yeah. You're being real nice, but yeah.
Yeah.
I
think that, he's he's not worth whatever they're paying for him.
Oh no.
If he's going to be doing this stuff like this, like he's allowed to be offended, I guess, at people booing the national anthem, but you know what? Like, you're in their country, okay? You are in their country. They have the exact same freedom of speech that we have in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So, you going on and Pat and being a baby about something that they have every right to do in their country only speaks to how you feel about our First Amendment rights. Because, oh, they can't do this, they can't do this. You're in their country. They can do what they're allowed to do. I mean, if you were to boo the Canadian national anthem, if they were playing it, if you were at a hockey event, an NHL event, nobody would stop you and nobody would care.
Nope.
Nobody would care. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe look at the reason, maybe take a good long look at yourself in the mirror and take a good long look at the world around us and take a good long look at what is actually happening to prompt said boos and maybe entertain the idea, just entertain the thought that maybe you're on the wrong side of this.
Amen.
Because you don't have thousands and thousands of people booing a national anthem of their neighbor who, up until recently, was pretty much lockstep in favor of everything that we're doing. They don't just turn on a dime like that for no reason.
No.
So maybe, and trust me, Canada ain't perfect. You've heard of those private schools, what they got in their basements,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Like, they are not perfect. But they are not in a position where they're bullying other countries. They are not in a position where they are under a technocratic kakistocracy coup, okay? And I'm sorry that you're boys with Trump. I really am, because that really shows your lack of intelligence and lack of integrity and lack of moral character. Because anybody who looks at that guy and looks up to that guy needs, maybe they were taken in, like, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I want to, people get taken in by cult leaders all the time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad people. It just means that they were hoodwinked.
Yeah.
But this guy is so cartoonishly evil. And I know that this isn't what we talk about on this show. Like, this isn't our politics show. But, I mean, if there are Trump supporters who actually listen to our show, I would be very surprised. But let it be known that you're backing the wrong guy. And we'll say it to your face.
I absolutely will say it to your face.
He is absolutely just a cartoon villain come to life. He is in the middle of a Project 2025 coup of this country. Nothing he is doing is helping anybody who he voted for, unless they're up in that highest tax bracket.
Yep.
Okay? And they already have everything. They don't need breaks. They don't need the things that people on our level could use. We have the richest man in the world co-piloting this country. And the richest man in the world, the richest individual on earth, saying we spend too much money on poor people.
Yeah.
When he could fund all of these programs that he's slashing by himself and still be a billionaire. It is unreal that anybody who is on that side of the coin should have anything to say about people in Canada booing what our government is up to.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And that is all I'm going to say about it, because this is not what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
But I got riled. I'm sorry, and I'm not sorry.
Yeah. My sentiment is Pat can kiss my ass. And it's always going to be that way, Pat. Logan Paul, you both can kiss my ass. That's what it is. Every time you fail at something, I'm going to laugh. I'm going to point out every bad thing you do. Because fuck you both. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, as somebody who I look up to, who I will not name just because some of my fans probably don't like him, but thank you, fuck you, bye, both of you. Now that's done. We had a really decent women's tag match after this. So of course we're gonna fill the gamut in between the two Elimination Chamber matches with the ancillary matches for this program, because really this is all about the chambers. I mean, they've thrown some compelling stuff in it, but really, honestly, Stratus and Stratton versus Nia and Candice LeRae doesn't really excite me that much. And this match is the least good of the night's matches. It's not a bad one, because I mean it's not like an F grade match or a D grade match. This is a solid B, solid B minus, maybe a B plus. Here's how we work it out, okay? Candice LeRae and Tiffany Stratton are superstars in this thing. They are definitely the bricks holding the, that the mortar is being, they're just holding everything together. They're the bricks. All right, they're the main body of this match. They're everything. I never want to see Trish Stratus and Nia Jax in the ring together again. Their level of compatibility was so poor that I didn't know which one of them was at fault for how bad this was. Okay, so, but when one of them was working with the other's partner, great stuff going on. And that's how we kept the match for the most part. Or, Stratton versus LeRae, just straight up. Good match. I'm going to say this because this is also the second match where this kind of happened, but like Tiffany was wearing white, Trish was wearing white, three of the girls in the Elimination Chamber were wearing white. I guess the moratorium on white gear is over. A lot of people have been wearing white tonight already. I guess maybe because no blood. I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out why nobody bled. Like, I mean, no, these matches didn't need. They were good despite not being bloody. But like, if you want me to believe that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are a blood feud, and I've seen them both bleed countless times, like, this is where we call for it. Especially if you're going to bring out a weapon, and this is the next match, so we're going to go ahead. Let's go and talk about it now. Next, we had Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. This was fucking great, man. This was everything a blood feud should be without blood. But it needed blood. No, here, actually, in this case, it's not that they needed to just throw some blood in here somewhere. It's that they had a definitive spot where there should have been blood, and there was not blood. So what happens is they're literally just beating the shit out of each other. The furniture comes in early and often. We are using chairs to beat the hell out of each other. Then Sami Zayn goes digging under the ring, and he brings out a barbed wire covered chair. And I don't mean it's barbed wire covered like we normally see. We're just like the bundle of barbed wire around the chair. No, it is tightly wrapped around the backing and tightly wrapped around the seat so that it is covered in barbed wire even when you fold it out.
Smart.
It is
smart.
And it is tightly wrapped in this barbed wire. So at this point, I know somebody's taking a seat in this bitch. Somebody's getting slammed on this motherfucker. Something's happening. Okay. Sami Zayn sets it up. Kevin Owens charges him. Sami drop toe holds him into it. He takes the corner of this barbed wire covered chair right to the eye, sells the eye, goes down, doesn't bleed. Doesn't bleed.
I don't understand.
Doesn't bleed.
Like, if you're going to, the whole point of barbed wire is that it cuts you.
Yes. I don't.
Like, it cuts you. That's why it's dangerous. That's why it's feared. Why is there no blood? I don't. Like, I would understand if he took the bump on his back, because he always wears a shirt on his back anyway. So, but, it's Kevin Owens. He likes wrestling in a shirt. But on his face, like, come on, man. Like, my feeling is that he probably wanted to, but couldn't get the okay for it.
Maybe.
But then why do the spot?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Zayn took a 2-table bump. It was nasty. But then, okay, here's where, like, okay, so with a match like this, even if there's no blood, there is a level of uncomfortability you can get to.
Yeah, carnage.
And Kevin Owens started doing the ring apron power bomb, and he did it like 3 times, and it's uncomfortable it's like an exponentially it's an exponential level of uncomfortability every time it happens. So it was uncomfortable the first time, and then it happened again, and it was like just more uncomfortable, and then just more uncomfortable the third time. But that was the end, thank God. Like, he did the third one and then drug him in and pinned him, and that was it.
And that, I mean, that's they're so smart too, because that mirrors their very first WWE encounter.
Yeah, when he hurt him with that.
Sami Zayn had just won the NXT title from Neville.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens had debuted earlier that night on the TakeOver show, came to hug him, and then immediately attacked him and laid him out with the apron powerbomb.
Yep. I remember that, actually. Yep. God, I've been watching these guys the entire time they've been in, and before, because we saw them at ROH shows before that. So, like, oh God, we've been watching these guys for like 20 years or 25 years at this point. Like,
it's a lot.
Oh God. So, WWE finally acknowledged El Generico's existence.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Michael Cole talked about the history of Sami Zayn and El Generico.
Wait, no, that can't be right, because El Generico is heading an orphanage in Mexico. They're not the same person.
We already did it, man. It's done.
Oh,
we acknowledged
WWE breaking kayfabe.
WWE acknowledged the history, which I actually am oddly okay with at this point. I mean, that joke's been running so long, and yes, I love it, but I'm okay with them finally being like, you know what, ROH existed as a thing before these guys came here, and we have to acknowledge that, because this has been going on so much longer than we've been doing it. We didn't originate the idea of these two fighting each other. They've been doing it for decades, so they finally had to acknowledge it as part of the history, and they did, and I'm glad they did. Not because it kills the joke. That's not what I mean. I'm still gonna make it, but because
it didn't happen.
Because
didn't happen.
I like when WWE doesn't pretend that the other organizations don't exist. I like when they acknowledge that there's competition and that, they might be the highest tier one, but there are other places where these people work and they do epic shit over there too, like, it's just what it is. So, afterwards, Kevin Owens is leaving, and he starts ripping up the padding around the ring. And then he grabs Sami Zayn, and he goes to give him a package pile driver on the concrete floor. And Randy Orton's music starts playing. Welcome back, Randy Orton. And thank God for Randy Orton. Because holy shit, I thought we were going to have to write Sammy off TV for like months, because in WWE world, if you take a package pile driver on the concrete, your career is over. So
yeah, they've laid that logic out pretty plainly.
Yeah, so Randy Orton comes in, Kevin Owens drops Sammy, they start fighting. Orton lays out Owens with an RKO, and then he goes to punt him. And he gets pulled out by Jamie Noble and the other official guys like Jason Jordan and all them. They pull Kevin Owens to safety from the punt. Despite this being an unsanctioned match that was supposed to be like, no consequences, we can't stand in the way of anything that might happen to you during this time period. I guess since the match was over, they now could step in.
Yep, back on the clock.
Yeah, so they saved Kevin Owens' life because he was totally getting punted, and the crowd was chanting punt. Like, they knew it was coming, and Randy Orton, like, he wasn't going to do it. I think he was ready to powder, and they were chanting punt, and he was like, okay. And he just, like, backed himself into the corner.
They're just going to pull me off anyway.
But then after they pulled him to safety, he tried to go after him, but the security guys got in the way and tried not to let him out of the ring, so he got to lay out about, 7 or 8 more RKOs on local talent guys who were dressed as security, I guess, before he left, which crowd pop for that pretty huge. I know you're not a Randy Orton fan. I am a Randy Orton fan, so it was cool. But it was also cool that Randy's back. He's been gone for a while. Kind of missed the guy around. Um,
Yeah, like he wasn't legitimately injured. He was just written off
yeah, he was
TV
just
with the
written
pile
off TV with
driver.
the pile
So
driver. So yeah, they were saving it for something. I thought they might be saving it for Mania, and maybe he was gonna betray Cody. But I don't think that's gonna happen anymore, and we're gonna get to that right now because.
no. Well, my question is, I mean, before we go on to that, my question is then, um, what do you do with Kevin Owens at Mania? Because do you have him face Sammy again, or do you have him face Randy? You can't do a triple threat because KO and Sammy are on the same page.
I don't know,
And you
man.
can't do a tag team because KO has alienated literally anybody who
Everyone.
could be his friend.
Yes.
So, well, I mean, the only people who might team with him were maybe the New Day.
I mean, but
Because, you
but
know,
I don't even think he likes them. I think they had the thing where like the New Day walked past and were like talking to Kevin. You know what it's like, and he's like, "No, I'm not like y'all." You know, so like even Kevin Owens is like, "Nah, y'all fucked up." But I don't know what I really hope they just continue Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, but I don't know where Orton's gonna fit into that or how or where
yeah,
he's gonna
like,
fit on WrestleMania, if at all. You know,
I mean, you can't figure that they would leave his comeback for this close to Mania without using him.
I mean,
He's
you would
Randy
hope,
Orton.
but I mean, we have so
I'm
much
not a fan of him, but I know what the company values.
Yeah.
It's Randy Orton.
Well, I mean, there's so much going on that I don't know where he fits. So, I guess we'll just have to see how the next few weeks go because we have like 4 to 6 weeks to WrestleMania, something around there. And
Yeah, it's a
so,
late one this year.
yeah, it's April 20th. So, yeah, like
Yeah,
6
that's
weeks.
real late.
Yeah, so
I think that's the latest WrestleMania
it
has ever
might
been.
be. It might be. I wonder if they did it on
Because
420 on purpose.
that's also Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, what the
Which
hell is
after what
going
happened
on?
this night, I maybe they did do it on 420 on purpose. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Some weird shit's happening, man, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But then we're at the men's elimination chamber, and this is the culmination of the night. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens here, so we're just gonna try to get through it. It's Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, John Cena, and CM Punk. Now, obviously, my favorite to win is CM Punk. I want him to win, but I'm under no illusions. WWE doesn't like to give me what I want, so I don't think he's gonna. And he doesn't. Spoilers. Rollins and McIntyre start the match. We have no pre-match, fuckery like we did with the women, so it's just a straight up, we locked the door, we're going. It's a pretty good match. Priest comes in next, then Logan Paul comes in, then John Cena and CM Punk is last. And everybody's in before anybody gets eliminated.
They don't do that often.
No, they
I
don't.
like that.
They don't.
I like that.
But Drew McIntyre was the first one to go. And
don't like
he
that.
was
Should have been Logan Paul.
Yes, it should have been, but he was eliminated by Damian Priest. So it appears that we're still going the Damian Priest Drew McIntyre route.
That's fine.
It's fine. They're both big boys, and they can Damian Priest looks like somebody who could legitimately, have a good fight with Drew McIntyre. It's really hard to pair Drew McIntyre up with somebody who looks intimidating in his presence because he is, in fact, large and intimidating. So
there's a reason they went back to the Sheamus well so often.
Yes, there is, because it's very hard to find somebody who's that big, and Sheamus is that big. So yeah. So then we had we got down to it was Rollins, Logan Paul, John Cena, and CM Punk. And then Logan Paul got eliminated first out of all those. So we had John Cena, Rollins, and CM Punk. And Seth Rollins got shit canned by John Cena, and he turned around and he looks at Punk and he goes to shake his hand, but instead Punk hugs him, and then they both just basically take turns beating the shit out of Seth Rollins. And then they eliminate him. And they open the door to let Seth Rollins out, and Cena and Punk are fighting now.
Well, yeah.
And
gotta have a winner. Like
Cena kind of shit cans Punk, and he's hanging over the bottom rope, and Seth turns around before he leaves and runs back in and stomps Punk. At which point, Cena grabs Punk's legs and pulls him in, puts him in the STF, and you can hear him. He's got it locked in with both arms. He's basically hugging him in the STF, and you can hear him. He's like, "I'm sorry, but I have to get to WrestleMania," and he just like squeezes until Punk is ruled unable to move. Basically, like if the referee does the arm thing, it immediately drops. It's called, and John Cena fucking wins.
LOL.
LOL. John Cena. It's 2025. What am I saying?
Well, I mean,
I asked for this and I wanted it, damn it, and I'm gonna lie in the bed I made.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, this is going to lead into our Call in the Ring segment, you know, a little bit of foreshadowing here. But like he's on his retirement tour. This is the last stretch that we're gonna have him. If you don't have him at least contend to break the world title record at the biggest show of all of them, what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Like, due respect to the star power and the patience of CM Punk, due respect to everybody else who was in that match, really, what's the bigger story? The bigger story is John Cena, who is the face of WWE for over 15 years, is retiring. This is his last stretch. How do you get the most out of it? Sure as hell isn't by putting him up against Austin Theory again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
no, yeah, do it.
So
I mean, it's just 1 year. Punk will be here next year.
Yeah. So Cena's in the ring. He's celebrating. They lift the Elimination Chamber off. And then Cody shows up and he's congratulating Cena, and you know, they're talking about how they're gonna have a match and all that, and then The Rock shows up. And now I didn't talk about this on SmackDown because it was kind of relevant for now. But on SmackDown, The Rock gifted Cody an American Nightmare branded truck. It was a very nice truck. I'd drive that motherfucker. Straight up. It was very nice. But he also had a weight belt that said Cody's Soul, and there was a date on it, but the date was the day that Dusty died. It's really weird, man.
What?
And then when The Rock comes out here at Elimination Chamber and talks to Cody, he says, "Are you going to be my champion and I get your soul, or is the dream going to die twice?"
Ew.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable and off-putting and gross.
Ew.
I didn't like it.
Don't like that.
Not to mention...
Ew.
That, and here's why I say I wonder if WWE set WrestleMania up on purpose for 420, because Travis Scott came out with The Rock, and then after he got in the ring, Travis Scott, the rapper who does the Raw theme song, but he also does festivals in Houston that get people killed. So Travis Scott can kiss my ass.
Great. Awesome.
But he was in the corner of the ring after he came in with The Rock, and Pat McAfee kept calling it sage, but he was definitely not burning sage. Let's put it that way. And I never thought I would see that in a WWE ring.
Is it legal in Canada?
It is legal federally in Canada, and it is across all provinces. So yes, it is legal for them to have done that. However...
But when it's broadcast primarily in the United
States, the ring
is
not a place for that shit. Okay, look, I smoke marijuana, folks. Okay? The ring is not a place for that shit. It's never been a place for that shit. Okay? So, no. Not in our professional environment should this be acceptable. Sorry, but no, I'm not fucking sorry about saying that. I am a user myself, and I still found this disgusting.
So what about... Okay. Just...
So...
I don't use... I don't care. But I'm curious now. What do you think of Steve Austin drinking beers is to celebrate after a match.
In my youth, before the business, when that was happening, I thought it was cool in the moment. As I came into the business, I realized that it wasn't very cool, but he also wasn't doing it. Okay, he was doing it in the ring. That part wasn't cool. If he was doing it but he never did it before his matches, so credit there.
No, he didn't.
But
yeah,
and Travis Scott was doing this shit before he took part in an active beatdown, and we'll talk about that. So, he was doing it while he was taking part in an active.
He's not doing marijuana's image any favors by getting violent after toking up.
No,
for the record.
No, he's not, for the record, and I didn't like that part either. But so Cody comes out. The Rock's there, or the Rock comes out. Cody's there. He's already been talking to Cena. The Rock's like, "Hey, I want your soul, and I want you to be my champion, or is the dream gonna die twice?" Which was gross. He's still got that freaking weight belt with the death date of his dad on it, which is gross. And
he should have said yes, and then given him the bottom of his shoe.
Well, Cody,
here, you can have my soul.
Cody's kind of alluding that maybe he did sell his soul. And he's saying, but yeah, I did. You know, my soul doesn't belong to me. I gave it to this ring and these people years ago. So Rock, and I can't believe I heard this, Cody Rhodes said, "Rock, go fuck yourself."
Yeah, I saw that on social media. I was
whoa.
Like, what?
And then The Rock proceeded to attack Cody Rhodes. Well, actually, Cena congratulated Cody on standing up for himself. But as he hugs him, he gives this very dour look to The Rock. The Rock draws his thumb across his throat, and John Cena turns heel for the first time in his career and attacks Cody Rhodes.
He's been heel before.
Not as Super Cena.
But not since he turned babyface the final time.
Yeah, not since he became the face of the company.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a major heel turn. John Cena's never been a heel in a long, he has been a heel, but not in a long time. And even when he was a heel, he was doing the rapping thing, and people were kind of cheering him anyway. So he hasn't really ever been a heel. So this is pretty bad. But he proceeded to assault Cody Rhodes thoroughly, and what may have been a hard way opened him up. I don't know if it was with the belt or with something else, but he was looking like he threw a couple potatoes there, you know?
Maybe.
But
even if it was hard way, maybe Cody asked for it.
Maybe, but he beat him with the
Cody loves to bleed.
Yeah, they beat him up with his own championship, and then Travis Scott and John Cena held him down while The Rock whipped him with that belt with his dad's death date on it. And then John Cena pulled a Daniel Bryan and choked him with a tie for like 2 minutes. And looked like he was trying to kill him. And I bet John Cena's not going to get fired for that. But then, they all three, Travis Scott smoking weed, and John Cena with his big bald spot, and The Rock, giant asshole that he's playing, because as far as I know, he's not really that big of an asshole in person, in real life, I guess. But they all three have a foot on Cody Rhodes, and they're standing over him as the show goes out.
Why is Travis Scott even there?
I don't know, and I hate it.
Why is he there?
I know he does the theme music for Raw, but no.
Is he from Toronto?
I don't know. He's from Houston.
What?
It doesn't make any sense to me either, man. It doesn't make, heel Cena's going to be fun, but this Rock, all the Rock involvement doesn't make any sense to me. I hate it. I hate it. I don't know what he's going to do to WrestleMania, but I hate it. And I also am going to say this out loud right now. I'm pretty sure we're going to get Seth Rollins and CM Punk at WrestleMania, and I hate that too. I
done seen it.
Yeah, I seen it a bunch, and if we're going to do it again for nothing again, can we do a stipulation that I'll care about? Like, Seth has to leave for 6 months if he loses, and then have Punk go over. And it's not because I
maybe-
don't like Seth Rollins. It's because it's just time for him to go away.
Maybe
He's inserted
loser
himself in
leaves
everything I
Raw
like.
or something like that.
Yeah, maybe they have to separate themselves on show or whatever. But I just don't.
Maybe. You could break out the old kiss my foot match.
Oh yeah, something. But whatever it is, I don't want to see this match at WrestleMania. And it looks like that's what we're going to get at WrestleMania. And I really hope that's not where we're going. But I'm pretty sure it is. So, but if you cut off this before that end segment, this is a AAA A+ pay-per-view. That ending segment dropped it down to a B. Okay? Because it was some bullshit.
Yes, that's what B stands for.
It does now. In this case, it sure does. Because it ruined what was actually a pretty good men's Elimination Chamber match, but the women's chamber, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, by far took away the night. They really did. They earned every bit of their money. So, I'll give the overall pay-per-view a B just because of that last Raw segment. It was A+ up until then. Maybe A with, the Nia Jax bringing it down a little bit, but
yeah.
But the pay-per-view itself, it was really good. It was really good. I enjoyed watching all 4 matches. I didn't watch any of the pre-show. I didn't watch the presser afterwards. I don't care about any of that shit. So, and most people don't. It seems like we see clips of interesting things that happen on the pre-show or the post-show all over social media. So anything interesting that happened there, most people have either already seen it or I will see it. Later on.
I haven't seen anything about the presser afterwards, which leads me to believe that it was a boring nothing burger of an event.
Probably.
So
Probably. Because WWE ain't taking any questions about what people really want to talk about right now. So,
nope.
TKO ain't gonna let them. They're just not gonna let them be controversial in any way. So, it's not gonna happen. But
well, I don't know. Dropping an F-bomb for the first time ever.
Okay,
that's pretty controversial.
I mean, I don't know. There was a time we never thought we'd see titties either, and we did that too. So,
well, okay, only on the British show. So,
but either way, this was on the Canadian show. So,
actually, you know what? No, Armageddon was a thing too.
Yeah,
Well, the cat. I was thinking the Insurrection show with, Jackie, Miss Jackie.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the one with the cat. Then that was totally here, I think.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's. We also saw a prosthetic of somebody else that show.
Yeah.
Pretty much evened it out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That was a repressed memory. Thanks for bringing it back.
Welcome. Let's go talk about something that we are interested in.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's have a thought experiment.
Let's call it in the ring.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So that segues nicely into this because obviously they're setting up for Cena. Is he or is he not going to break the all-time world title record held by Ric Flair? 16 world titles is a lot.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot. It's across, Ric Flair's world titles that are relevant are across WWE, the NWA, and WCW. So that's a long history. It's a lot of different companies. I mean, because if you think about it, it is a lot. I don't really consider the NWA one company. Like, there's one governing body for it.
Yeah.
But like, the governing body was made up of, the promoters of a bunch of different territories.
Yeah.
So really, you had to get a lot of different promotions on board, which shows a lot of trust.
Yeah.
In you as to be the champ of the NWA. So we were thinking, is there anybody else who could conceivably break that world title record through the course of their careers? I did a lot of research last night leading up to this. We decided that we were going to include certain championships, omit other ones. The ones that we decided would count as a world's championship so that we could, discuss this on an even kind of playing field were all three, all actually four, and I'll get to that in a minute. All four of the ones that count as Ric Flair's title. So the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, the WWF/E Championship, the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and the short-lived WCW International World Heavyweight Championship. We'll get to that and what that is in a minute. Also included was the ECW World Heavyweight title, and that includes it. As soon as it becomes a world title, everybody in that lineage, even before it was a world title, we have included for the sake of, like, you know, for example, the NWA doesn't mean nearly what it means back when Ric Flair was a champion.
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't even put that on par with some of the top tier indies in terms of relevance and importance.
It is kind of a top tier indie.
But well, I mean, like, I think that most people, even before it went under, would have put the ROH title above the NWA title.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
Now you would, yeah.
I think that most people probably would even put the PWG title above the NWA title at this point, considering how influential they became in the lead up to AEW and then the pandemic pretty much gutted them.
Yeah.
But the point is that if you're going to count, it doesn't matter what it means now. If it counts as Ric Flair's title reigns, it still counts as a world title, because otherwise that record doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So, even though the ECW, the Eastern Championship Wrestling Championship's first title holder was Jimmy Snuka, and was later held by like Don Morocco and people who you don't think of as world champions, and the Ring of Honor world title wasn't a world title really until Samoa Joe took it and defended it across the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, so a guy like Xavier, you know, rest in peace. You know, not a guy who you think of as a world champion, but he was the first Ring of Honor title holder.
Yeah.
So, you know, retroactively, that would make him a world champion, as far as we're concerned, for the sake of this segment. So the ECW World Heavyweight title counts, even WWE ECW, even though they never treated it like a world title, unless Bobby Lashley was wearing it. The TNA World Championship counts. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship counts. I went back and forth on whether that its predecessor, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, should count, because that was a case where in New Japan they actually separate the heavyweights from the junior heavyweights.
Mm-hmm. But
most people consider Okada a 7-time world champion because he was a 5-time IWGP heavyweight champion and a 2-time world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go with consensus there and just consider it a world title.
Yeah.
The ROH world title, the AEW world title, and literally any world title that the WWE has had. Obviously, the Universal title, both versions of the the World Heavyweight Championship, the current one and the one from 2002 to 2013. The WWE Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I did some math, and between all of those promotions, I made a top 11. Ric Flair is obviously at the top.
Okay.
So I need to do 10 under him. The 10 guys who have the most world titles after Ric Flair, so far as I could tell, were obviously John Cena, and then tied or Randy Orton and Triple H. John Cena has 16. Randy Orton and Triple H both have 14. Sting has 12. Hulk Hogan also has 12. Kurt Angle also has 12. Edge has 11. And Brock Lesnar, The Rock, and Jeff Jarrett all have 10.
Okay.
So, it doesn't look likely that anybody's going to break that.
Of that
John
list,
Cena's,
I mean, okay, so let's go down
that
again.
list.
Okay, so John Cena may or may not. That is a distinct
possibility. He is the most likely.
Yeah.
He only has one. He has tied the record.
Yeah.
He only has to win one more title He's in his retirement run. He just turned heel in a big angle on Cody Rhodes. He only has a limited amount of time to get it done. So if he's going to get it done, it's going to be this year.
Yeah.
I think by far he is the most likely candidate of anybody to break the record.
Okay. Okay, so who's next?
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton.
He has 2 to tie and 3 to break.
2 to tie and 3 to break. I don't. Maybe 1, but I don't think he's got 2.
Yeah, he's probably on his last full time run. He may like you said, maybe 1 more just as like a thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to get him to the number
Triple H
number 2
maybe,
spot at least.
Yeah, maybe Triple H says, "Hey, I'll give you 1 more than me. Thanks for all your service." You know, like
yeah, something like that. Like he's still over, but he's like he's older.
Yeah, he's talked about retirement recently also. So
yeah,
yeah.
Triple H is retired.
Triple H is retired.
Sting is retired.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan is retired. Kurt Angle's retired.
Yep.
Edge is on 11. Edge is in a similar position I can see to Randy Orton. He may get 1 AEW world title run just because Tony's a big mark for him, and who could blame him? But that's it. I can't see him getting any more than 1. That'd put him at 12, and that's well away from breaking the record.
What if, just let me play devil's advocate here for a second, what if Tony's a way bigger mark for him than we think he is, and he does win this title on Sunday? Do you think Tony drives him to 17? Because he can?
No. I mean, he could, but I think he'd lose the goodwill of the audience.
I mean, maybe he would, but he has 2 world titles to drive him through also.
Yeah,
and that brings the question of Jericho. Does he drive Jericho to 18 world titles because he has 2 to shuffle between him? I don't think the man should ever have the AEW world title again. But
here's the
what
thing.
if?
Here's the thing. Edge and Jericho are about the same age. I think Edge is like 2 or 3 years younger than Jericho, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more than that. Or Cope. Sorry. I don't mean to dead name you. I'm sorry. It's just habit. Cope is a much better and still more energetic in the ring than Chris Jericho is. Chris Jericho has like 2 years tops, I think. I don't see him winning. I don't see him winning 7 more world titles in 2 years. I don't see it happening. And Tony famously doesn't like to hot potato belts.
Yeah.
He's done it a couple of times for the sake of, an angle or 2. Like he hot potatoed the TNT one is the one that's been hot potatoed the most.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do it with world titles.
Mm-hmm.
I think he probably feels like he has to respect a world title more than that. Like the shortest reign of a world title holder was Bryan Danielson, and we all know the circumstances surrounding that. It was never going to be long. His body was breaking down. He wanted to give him that last hurrah and put his name in the history books as a big thank you for not just his AEW career, but for his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
So the shortest one is it lasts 48 days or something like that. But I don't see him doing that with Jericho.
Nah.
No. Brock Lesnar.
No.
So here's an interesting case because I do believe it's no. But his status with WWE is up in the air because of the Janelle Grant lawsuit. Now, thought experiment. Either the Janelle Grant stuff never comes to light and we never hear about it, so we're not talking about it. Or everything gets dismissed. He's welcomed back with open arms regardless. I still don't think he breaks the record.
No.
Because when they put, even disregarding the fact that he's getting up there in age too, and he doesn't tend to be around long, the fact of the matter is the majority of his reigns, when they put the belt on Lesnar, with the exception of the weird thing they did with Bobby Lashley a couple of years ago, the rule, and not the exception, with Brock is that he has a long title reign. The longer your title reigns, the less likely it is you get the record title reigns that you need to break the most title reigns record. So what they tend to do with Brock is put the belt on him for a long time. So even if he was to win another couple world titles, which I could see happening if he comes back, I don't see him making it to 17. I see him making it to 12, maybe 13, but definitely not to 17.
So I don't think he wins a single other one unless it's the UFC heavyweight title. And the only reason I say that is because if he's going to pop up anywhere, that'll be where it is, and I don't think he's ever coming back to WWE. However, if he does come back to WWE for any reason, no, I don't see more than 2. He is getting up there in age. There are a bunch of people now who are of the size and stature and are over enough that they can be legitimate threats to Brock Lesnar, and nobody would think twice about it.
And they've got better gas tanks too.
Yeah,
they're more reliable.
Way better. So, and they're not part-timers. Also, like conversely, we can talk about outliers or people that are young now who might, who haven't even won their first world title, who might, break a record.
Well, let's talk about that after we finish the list. There are only 2 more names on the list.
But with Brock, I just don't think that, I think that the average title length is getting longer right now, almost to the level where it was back in the 70s and 80s, and we might not at all see another 18, but we might not ever see a 19. We might not see another 17 even. But Brock getting to over 15, no. As long as his title reigns are, that's got to be some kind of contractual thing. But either way, he's not hitting 19. He's not going to hit 18. He's not going to hit 19. He's not going to be anywhere near the record. No.
The last 2 people on this list are The Rock, who, honestly, it's not going to happen, but there is an outside shot because he's on the board that he could do anything that he damn well pleased. And I don't know. I don't see it happening, but I could see it happening, just because he's who he is. He's getting mixed up in stuff he's doesn't need to be mixed up in already. Who's to say he wouldn't put the belt on himself again?
Oh, God, I hope not. But he better not do it 9 times. Right. God, even if he does, I can accept maybe
he's
once.
He's at 10 right now, so.
But if I accept once, it better not be this ham-fisted shit he's doing now. It's got to make sense. Yeah. But I'm not going to accept one more than one.
The good thing is that he's in such incredible shape that at least he would be a credible champion.
Yeah, he would be a credible champion, but he just
just like Lesnar would be.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense right now, and he's been ham-fisting himself into shit and making it make less sense than it should. So I don't know what to do with him.
Yep. Last guy on the list, Jeff Jarrett. My notes here was LOL no.
No. LOL no is correct.
LOL no.
I love you, Jeff, but you're not going to win a single another title. Maybe another title if Tony's going to give you something on the way out, but you're not going to be a world champion ever again. I'm sorry, man. That's not happening. It's not in the cards, bud. It's not.
Could you imagine if you paired him up against Chris Jericho and have him be the one
to win the ROH
what a low
title?
Point for the ROH title.
Gosh,
yeah.
I mean,
what a low point. 2 old heads fighting over the title that made its name off of being the young, hip indie promotion.
Right? That would just be terrible. That would just be a slap in the face to everything ROH. I mean, Jericho being champion's already a slap in the face to everything ROH was built on. So.
Yeah, but at least you can work that into the gimmick.
Yeah. Jarrett would just be so much worse. Yeah, so I'm not even going to entertain.
And I would say the same. I would say the same for Dustin Rhodes, who I actually enjoy.
No, he's not going to be world champion ever again either.
No.
He had the 1 or 2.
He's going to retire.
That's it.
He doesn't have any.
No, I think
Dustin doesn't have any.
I thought Dustin was WCW world champion at one point.
Nope.
Really?
Nope. Highest he got in WCW is U.S. title.
Wow. That's surprising.
Yep. One of the best to never win a world title.
The best to never win a world title, probably.
There's there's a lot of names on that list. British Bulldog, Ted DiBiase. Uh, if you want to count the AWA, if you don't count the AWA World Title, Kurt Hennig. You know, lots of guys that are like from the glory days, the workers from the 80s. Like a lot of them could have been world champion, but it was more advantageous for not just that for the promotion, but for them to be working with the guy who drew the money than to be the heel who took it off of him and then have to draw as a heel in a babyface territory.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
But yeah, like let's go back to what you were talking about though. Young guys. I think that the best chance for somebody to break the record would be a young guy who has all the potential in the world to break through that ceiling. And it's, if we're being honest about it, it would probably be somebody in the WWE system. Somebody that they brought up themselves and groomed themselves. Somebody who's really young, who has the time to amass that, who has, because remember, the thing that makes it more impressive with Cena is that he's got all these world titles in one company. One company trusted him to carry the ball that much. Like, yes, it says something when other companies, all these companies are consensus that this is the guy. But when you can stay with one company and they keep going back to your well over and over and over again, that says something about your worth to that major, the number one company in the whole world. So,
well, Braun Breaker, I think, has the potential to break 18. They brought him up. He's a Steiner. He's got the lineage. He's already Intercontinental Champion. He's only like 22 or 23 years old.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, we didn't include the NXT as a world title, but if you wanted to, he's already got 2 of those under his
he's
belt,
already got 2 top championships, is what I'll call the NXT title. But he hasn't been a world champion yet in my eyes, but he definitely has the potential, and I think he will be one soon. I think once this Cody story, the whole thing is over, it's going to be open season. People like Jacob Fatu and Braun Breaker are going to be world fucking champion. That's all there is to it. As long as they're going to be world champion. I'm not going to, yeah. They're.
It's funny because you would think that guys like they're in the main event scene right now, like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, those guys, that they would be the next guys. But if you look at the number of titles they've actually won, it's like they seem like they're on top all the time, but those are generally long range.
Yeah.
Like Roman Reigns, I think only has 5. And they're already
too old, man.
Yeah.
Think about it, man. They're not far behind Cena.
Reigns could have broken it if he had dropped the belt several times.
If he had dropped the belt several times, he could have
holding it for 4 years.
He went for length over number for sure, and he could have been an 18 or 19 or 20. Roman Reigns for sure. As much as Vince liked him, he could have won the world title 20 fucking times. He could have easily, but he got a 5-year reign, which is going to be way more memorable over the long run than having 10 or 20 of them.
Well, the second half of it. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, him and Seth, they're young enough to still win a few, but they're not young enough to win 19 of them.
I was surprised that Rollins only has like 5 or 6 world titles. Like I thought it was more than that, but no.
I don't know how old Gunther is, but he could probably get I bet he gets to double digits in WWE.
I bet he gets to double digits, but I don't think I think it's low double digits.
Yeah, probably 10 or 11.
Yeah. Of course, with him, they're booking him like Brock Lesnar. Too.
Yeah, so he's just
look
holding
at how long the
belt.
Intercontinental title reign.
Yeah, and he's doing the same thing with the world title, although he's going to lose it in 6 weeks. I'm sorry, there's no question about that.
Pretty sure.
Jey Uso is going to be the world heavyweight champion. Mark my words right now. If you can bet on it and you can make money, do it.
Let's clear the air here. Jey Uso is 38. He's not going to make it on his list.
No, he's not. This is going to be his first world championship and probably his last. I'm going to be real.
He's getting the run that he's
earned. He earned this one, and he's getting
this. Is his Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, Yeah, basically.
run. Like,
And speaking of Kofi, he ain't gonna get a second one.
Nope.
Xavier Woods will never get his
Sucks.
first.
Nope.
Dominic Mysterio
I mean,
might be world champion once.
Yeah.
One time.
You know who I think a guy I think has all the potential in the world. I'm surprised they haven't pulled the trigger on him yet. Is Montez Ford?
Yeah, he does.
That guy is super charismatic, super athletic, has all the tools, but they still haven't broken up the Street Profits.
Maybe he doesn't want to.
Still
I mean,
he's still like the guy's young enough that he could be like a really good contender to break that record, and I do see him as a world champion at some point.
Yeah.
If they ever decide to split up the Street Profits.
Maybe, yeah, but I don't think he's gonna get 17 of them. Carmelo Hayes, same thing. He won't get that many. He might get a couple. Ciampa and Gargano are too old to break the record, but they might each see a world championship at one point or another.
Maybe.
DIY won't last forever. They fight better than they team, so there's gonna be a world title feud between them two eventually.
They're Kevin and Sammy again.
Yeah. Speaking of them, Kevin and Sammy will both be world champion at least one more time.
Man, I hope so. Kevin had that Universal title reign that was actually good.
Yeah.
For the record, people don't remember it, but it was good, and it helped stabilize that title that was immediately thrown into disarray with the Finn Balor injury. But yeah, like he got squashed by Goldberg, and then he hasn't whiffed a world title since.
Yeah,
it's sad. That dude can literally do everything and anything that you ask of him, and Vince McMahon crapped all over him because he's fat.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid because he's one of the best people on that.
Absolutely asinine.
Now, if we turn the lens over to AEW a little bit, Daniel Garcia definitely has the top opportunity to break the record. I think he could.
Who? Sorry,
Daniel Garcia.
Who?
I think Daniel Garcia between the ROH and AEW title, he could, and he
could do it.
Yeah, I think he could.
I think he would have to leave AEW to make it happen, though. I think he'd get his start there, obviously, and I think he'd have to leave because, again, Tony doesn't like to book, short-term, rapid-fire title reigns that would pad the book like that.
Yeah, but he's young enough still that we've got some time, and he might switch companies at some point. He might be in TNA or WWE, and what I just realized, we're not talking about women's titles either, and like Charlotte's probably pretty close to her dad.
There's only one person. There's only one woman who's even close.
And it's Charlotte.
It's gonna be Charlotte.
Yeah.
Like that's why we're not even talking about it. Is because there's nobody else to talk about. It's Charlotte and nobody else.
I think Stephanie McCare might get there one day, or Julia. Jordan Grace has potential to do that too. But like if we go back to AEW, Daniel Garcia, he's young enough. He has the potential. There's a lot of like guys who like you would be like, oh, that's a young guy because you haven't been watching him very long in AEW, like maybe the last 5 years, but you don't realize they're seen his age and shit. The Young Bucks, neither of them are going to be world champions 17 times.
No.
Kenny, how many world titles does Kenny have?
3.
Is it 2 AEW or just one?
If you 1 AEW, 1 New Japan, and
a TNA.
1 TNA.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Or Impact, whatever.
I mean, I totally would see him as somebody who should have like 30. Because the belt collector, was he ever AAA or CMLL champion?
He was AAA champion.
So maybe
he was AAA champion.
We can say 4.
If you count that, it'll be 4.
This top promotion in Mexico, we can count it. We do in JPW. It'd only be fair. So we can count 4 for Kenny, and I think he could probably, if between those 4 promotions, because he can continue working for all of them. Except TNA. But we could switch out TNA for ROH. And between those 4 promotions,
you can make a case. if we're talking about that, you can make a case for Mox too. I mean, he won the AEW championship last year, but before that, earlier that year, he won the New Japan, the IWGP World Heavyweight title for a spell.
Yeah.
Like he can work both. He can work ROH if Tony wants to put him there. So he's got. And with their working relationship with CMLL, if they're interested.
Yeah.
If you want to call that a world title, it's the oldest promotion still in existence.
Yeah, I think that would count. I just don't know who their current champions are, or who's. Yeah. I don't know anybody over there who I like, or in New Japan.
I like it when their guys show up in AEW.
Yeah.
Echicero is amazing.
Hell yeah, he is.
I love Echicero. He's my favorite, but like he's my favorite of their guys.
Mhm.
Like if you could somehow get CMLL and AAA to get in a room and hash out their differences without drawing switchblades on each other,
Never
and
happened.
like, can we get Hechicero versus Hijo del Vikingo, please? Can you imagine how good that
Oh
match would
God,
be?
that would be so good, but
It would be amazing.
by all accounts that I've heard, Conan's a freaking asshole. So
Oh
I
yeah.
just don't think it's
Oh
happening.
yeah. He's petty with a capital petty.
Yeah, yeah, whole word capitalized. Yeah, he's an asshole. So by every account I have heard, Conan's an asshole, and then I've listened to his podcast a couple times, and I think he's an asshole too. So, um, just I don't know. I don't think that's ever going to work out, and I wish it would. But one day, both of those guys will be free of their contracts, and maybe Tony signs them both. And
I hope.
because he is,
Echecero's kind of old though. Like he's about 39 or so.
yeah,
Like I mean, he looks great, but like if he's gonna sign with AEW, it better be soon.
Yeah.
Because he's probably towards the end of his career. Vikingo's still young. He's like 25 or something.
yeah, he's in his early 20s. So
Yeah, so he's good, and I guarantee you, as soon as his contract is up, AEW will make a play for Vikingo.
oh yeah, they will for sure, and
I
I
don't know
bet
if they'll sign
WWE
him.
will too. So that's gonna be
Yeah,
it's
that's
gonna be
the
a bit
thing.
of a
I don't know
war.
if they'll sign him,
Yeah.
but they're gonna make a play.
Oh yeah. I think WWE, like, I think they're seeing what AEW is doing with the luchador thing, and they're really trying to put more lucha at the forefront. With signing Penta, Dragon Lee's been on a lot more. Like, the LWO has been on a lot more. Ray was heavily featured until the attack that took out his knee. I think a
They
lot of
will
lucha
feature
people.
Fenix when he gets
Oh yeah. Phoenix is gonna sign to WWE, and they're gonna feature
Oh,
them. They're gonna be tag team champions. They're gonna be.
Yeah.
They're,
They
no
should be.
question. So, and
They should be. They're
honestly,
incredible.
as much as they're taking to Penta over there on that side, those people have no idea what they're in for when Phoenix gets in there, man. Like, it is gonna be
Yeah.
wild to see the shift of like what these guys understand, But yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to peg the ones who could really, really do it that are young enough still, especially with what the reason, like I mentioned earlier, like title reigns are getting longer. They're getting more meaningful. And the longer the title reign, I mean, every time somebody has a year-long title reign, that's a year that everybody couldn't be champion except that guy. And that's only and it's only one tick on his ticker.
It's a limited resource.
Yeah.
You can create more title belts, and they have done that count as world titles, but that's still just one person per belt. Like,
yeah.
You've got a roster of what, like 80, 90, 100 people.
Yeah. So like 1% of these guys are going to get past 10, and a 0.25% maybe will get to 15, and even less to 16, and after 10, every tick up gets exponentially harder to get to.
Yeah.
And especially if you're already been in the business 10 years and you haven't won a world title, you're not going to win 16. Sorry. It's just not the way things are working right now. It's not going to happen. You got to be like Orton and win a title at like 24, and you got to start and you got to keep continuing to win titles. And even he has done that and is still not sniffing 18 titles. So, I mean, if they want people to hit that record ever again, NXT is going to have to be an actual world championship, which means you're going to have to put it on real TV and have it in real arenas and draw real people.
Yep, it's true. One more thing before we end this segment in this episode is I want to address and acknowledge something. All of this means nothing because Ric Flair holds the record for most world titles, but it's not 16. It's like 23 because of a whole bunch of screwy, usually in the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, Finishes with the NWA World Title, where they did a finish to placate a crowd that was going to riot if they didn't have their hometown boy go over, only to have him drop it back to him before the tour was over.
Yes.
But the NWA never recognized these title changes. These matches happened. These finishes happened. And whether WWE, the NWA, or WCW wanted to acknowledge that, and whether it's fake or not, this stuff happened. So,
true.
Even if John Cena wins that 17th world title, he's still technically not going to break the record anyway.
But WWE will say he did if he does. So.
Oh, absolutely. And they'll run with it. And for the most part, people will just go with it because wrestling is fake.
Yep.
And it's malleable. And the history is written by the winners and the people who are in control of the pencil.
That's
so,
true.
Ric Flair, to me, will always hold the record, not because I like the guy, because he's a scumbag, but because of the facts. He's got like 21, 23, something like that.
Yeah, he won it like 23 times. And it's because they took it off him in countries where they weren't going to get away with not doing it. So, I mean, that's just, that's how wrestling used to be. It used to be real enough that the crowd was really real. And even if what's going on,
especially in the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah. Freaking colognes, man.
They love their pro wrestling. Why do you think Backlash a couple of years ago was so hyped? Because those Puerto Rican fans love wrestling more than nearly any other crowd of wrestling fans.
Yeah, they really love their wrestling out there.
They adore it. They love it with all their hearts.
Yep.
There's a reason Carlos Colon has had the World Wrestling Council there uninterrupted for like 50 years.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not that long. It's
been a long time.
35, 40, but it's a long time.
I think it might be 50. Yeah, I think it was like since like the early 70s. So yeah, we're at 50 years.
Before I was born,
way before
that's
I was
for sure.
Born. Yeah, so I mean, God.
Yeah, Brody died in like 82, I think.
Yeah, that was before I was born.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I just turned 40, so it's at least 43 years or so.
Yeah.
Here, let me just look it up. I'm on Wikipedia right now. World Wrestling Council. Established in 1973. So 51 years.
Oh.
So, yeah. It's one of the oldest continuous wrestling promotions in existence.
That's wild.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And they love it down there. They absolutely... I love how they love it. Like, I mean, they can go a little too far with the riots and the stabbings and the whatnots. But, like, I can't hate on their love for the thing that I love as well. So...
True that.
All right. Well, that will wrap it up for this week. Next week, we'll have another history-making episode of our show. You want to tell them what we're doing?
So next week, we are going to kind of forego all of our normal Sunday activities that we do with our weekly reviews and stuff. Because, look, okay, Elimination Chamber just happened. We've given tons of coverage to WWE pay-per-views. In our time doing this, we've never had a Sunday pay-per-view interfere with us recording. We record on Sunday nights, usually around the time a pay-per-view would be about midway through. We start recording. Well, because of that, we have a pay-per-view on Sunday night. We have Revolution with AEW on Sunday night. And because Revolution with AEW is Sunday night, we want to watch the pay-per-view just like y'all do. We don't want to bother having to do this afterwards because we're going to lose an hour of sleep anyway. We don't want to have to do it beforehand either because we're both dads and stuff like that. So we're going to kind of curtail a lot of this stuff. We're going to change our format up just a little bit next week. And next week, we're going to do a watch along. And so we're going to watch AEW Revolution and give you our live reactions to that as we do it. You're still going to get the podcast at the normal time. It's just not going to be review based this week. We are going to just watch Revolution and talk about Revolution. And honestly, I'm pretty excited for it. We're just going to change things up a little bit. I'm super excited for this pay-per-view. I know Adam's super excited for this pay-per-view.
Totally.
So we're just going to we're just gonna cover that, and we're gonna watch it. And I mean, this is the time we would be recording. The pay-per-view will be on, so we're just gonna watch the pay-per-view, and we're gonna talk about what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and what's going on during the pay-per-view. And that's gonna be our podcast for next week. So we hope you guys will enjoy that. And
fair warning, it'll probably be a 4-hour plus episode. So
probably
strap in.
But we are going to do that's kind of going to be a dry run for maybe a live stream later on that we'll be able to do when time allows. Like I said, we're both dads, so we got we're going to be watching the pay-per-view a little bit late. So
yeah, I gotta put my kids to bed and then catch up on the Max stream.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. So we will see you guys next week. Remember to take care of yourselves and be kind to yourselves always, and we love you.
Love you. Take care.
Bye.
Oh, bye, Marks.